Though, this is kind of crazy. A logo I don't see until I get to number 48, and that's 4 stars. And most of the 5 stars are already committed. There's only a couple out there. A logo I really don't see. And like the highest rated 5-star is that's uncommitted goes to Mater Day. I never know if I'm saying that right, but that's the way I've always said it.
Mater Day.
Mater Day in Santa Ana, California.
Maitre D.
Maitre D, thank you. That's the guy that seats you at a restaurant, right?
That's the guy that sits you at a restaurant.
That's who you thought. That's his name.
Okay. And he's not even considering this school, but USC does not have a single 5-star commitment. And most of them have already committed, and
that's strange.
It is wild. That's
what you read is Lincoln Riley's got really good.
I know.
Guys that have committed.
And so there's one guy, this top kid that goes to that school out in California. He's considering Oregon, Georgia, Miami, Texas A&M, and Colorado, of course.
Where does he go? That school in California?
Mater Day, whatever it is. The other guy that hasn't committed, he's heavy Texas, they say. Texas A&M for number 15, Terry Bussey out of Texas. There's 2 more that are both Texas, 100%, they say. One of them is also at Mater Day. He also is not considering Southern Cal. It's kind of crazy to see that with Lincoln Riley there.
Yeah,
I mean that's all your 5 stars. I haven't seen one.
But USC and Colorado will be 2 programs that I think will continue to live in the portal.
They will.
Yeah, just pick all stars.
You know, another thing that I would sell against USC is NIL. Yeah, you're going to make millions of dollars. You know how much you're going to get your ass taxed in California?
Right. Yeah, it's expensive to live out there. I mean, if you're not going to live on campus.
Yeah. So I found that interesting when it talks about another thing I'm hearing about Alabama is the offensive line size, right? That 350-pound offensive line that was being bragged about in the offseason now according to the fans, has become a detriment. They're too big.
Step slow.
Yeah, they're too big.
Well, I mean, is it helping?
I have not seen anything from this offensive line that is a calling card. Let's get a bunch of 350-pound guys.
Yeah, because I remember when Cole did the story in the Middle Tennessee game, right?
Yeah, the first game.
About how big they were, and they were bigger than any NFL offensive line.
By a lot.
By a lot. And everybody's like, oh, okay, the Alabama's got this massive offensive line. I haven't seen that it helps anything. I can't swear that it's what's hurting them.
Yeah.
But it certainly doesn't appear to be helping them.
Yeah. So just some of the buzz you hear about from the Alabama fans. You know, a lot of people say quarterback, but our offensive line has, been taking on a lot of water the last 2 weeks.
Now, if they go out and they scald Ole Miss's ass and they win this game by 21 plus, and Milroe plays clean football, do you think the narrative completely changes?
Okay, say that. Say Alabama goes out there.
They win the game by
13th ranked team in the country. They win it by 3 touchdowns. They play a clean sheet, no turnovers from Milroe, very few penalties. They look good. They control Ole Miss.
42-21, we'll call
42-21. They win the game by 21, double them up on CBS. Where's Alabama in the rankings the next day?
Well, some of it depends on what happens. You're going to have some.
You have Notre Dame and Ohio State playing each other head up. You have Oregon and Colorado.
Yeah.
Penn State and Iowa, but not a lot of losable games.
Alabama move up a little bit. I mean, it might not get them back in the top 10, though.
Yeah, Florida State, man, there's a good chance they lose this weekend at Clemson.
Clemson? Yeah, I don't disagree with that. So you could have some turbulence in front of them that could help Alabama move up in that case, even if Alabama just wins, period.
I guess what Lance is adding, does the street conversation, the street cred change for Alabama? Everybody's kicked them to the curb. Do they get back into the conversation if they look different this week?
I kind of think so, yeah. I mean, if they go out and dominate Ole Miss, now Ole Miss is number, what are they, 15 right now?
Yeah, 15.
They haven't really done anything to blow anybody away. But, yeah, I mean, if Alabama goes out and looks dominant again, there might be people that say, okay, Milroe, they got his attention. And this looks like kind of old Alabama.
Champy's Chicken brings you this hour every day. Sterling, great guy. Champy'sChicken.com. Champy'sChicken.com. Highway 119 in Alabaster, open for lunch right now. Mississippi Delta recipe tamales and a lot more at Champy'sChicken.com. Mel Tucker is going to be fired. Michigan State informs him of that yesterday. Bruce Feldman's likely candidate list. Sean Lewis, offensive coordinator, Colorado.
He's done a great job.
Mike Elko, Lance Leopold, Chris Kleiman. Those 3 guys have done a heck of a job where they are at non-football powers. The only attractive thing about Michigan State is that it's in the Big Ten for those 3 guys to me.
If I'm Leopold, I jump from Kansas to go there. If I'm Elko, I'll probably go there from Duke. If I'm Kleiman, I keep Kansas State. If I'm Lewis, I take the job. I mean, I'm an offensive coordinator, and I was the head coach at Toledo? Is that where he came from?
Those are good names if you can get any of those guys.
Kane Womack on the list as well from South Alabama.
Good for Kane. Hope he gets it.
How about that? Top of the hour here. Disrupt the Media. Go follow that YouTube channel, too. That's us. It may surprise you, but that's us, too. Disrupt the Media. Go follow that, subscribe. You get great content. Like The Burnout with Ryan Brown and Peter Burns, which starts right now. God bless you and God bless America.
Follow Brownie on Twitter and Instagram at Ryan Brown Live. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
If you've been with the show a long time, you know I get these updates on my computer. Some of them I don't know how they're in there.
Whose birthday is it, Jimmy?
Tomorrow. Rockstar's birthday tomorrow.
Happy
Is that
birthday,
right?
It's Bill Murray's birthday.
Is it your birthday tomorrow?
I have to look at the calendar.
No, it's on Jim's. You don't
My
have to look at
alert.
yours, yeah.
Two of them, in fact, from two different calendars say it's Rockstar's birthday tomorrow. That's worth a bell.
Is it in
bell ring.
celebrity birthdays like Ryan Brown's is?
One of them is celebrity birthdays. One of them is just Facebook birthdays.
Better career, Rockstar,
Or Bill Murray?
Jimbo Fisher.
Me by far.
Yeah, I agree. 42 tomorrow, Rocky?
42.
We don't
Are
talk
you serious?
ages. We don't talk ages on this show.
Oh, I don't care.
Right, I don't care. Somebody doesn't talk ages on this show. I'm 47.
Rockstar's in his 30s as far as our career is concerned. So Rocky, a day early. Happy birthday! Just letting everyone else in the building know that.
Oh, God, please don't.
We need to get some of those loud poppers and confetti
No, we
streamers
don't.
and stuff that we have to clean up after the show.
That's what I want for my birthday, nothing.
Nothing?
Yeah.
Good. I got you exactly
Yeah,
what you
thanks.
wanted.
Was Dunaway that got the facial from the silly string, right?
Oh yeah, in my ear.
Scott got a ruined hat.
Yeah, we
He
ruined
did.
Scott's
He
favorite
did.
hat of all
Yeah,
time.
Thank you all for bringing that up. I have apologized endlessly for that. Scott has told me, no, it's not ruined. He's never worn it again, but he's told me, no, it's not ruined. We fixed it.
When I had a young child like Rockstar has, especially one that was teething, Maggie asked me, "Hey, what do you want for your birthday?" And I was like,
A hotel room?
I did. I was like, "I'd like to stay at Ross
Yeah.
Bridge," and she's like, "Oh, I'll see if I can work that, and we can go out there." And I said, "No. I want to stay at Ross Bridge
Guys' night out.
by myself."
Yeah.
We're sitting on teething and an ear infection right now, so it's been very pleasant.
They often go hand in hand.
Your stomach virus away from what I like to call the Holy Trinity.
We had a stomach virus 2 weeks ago.
I have said that dogs are a bigger pain in the ass puppies than kids. And yesterday I was just like, I'm done. So I called up Damien and
With
I'm
the
like,
dogs part.
yeah.
Okay.
And the kids,
I am
technically.
dropping the dogs this morning. So they are back at boot camp.
Okay. All right. And one's been snipped, so we can go. They're going through it together. I mean, the other one's got to go back again for a third time.
Yeah, this is her third time.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got to grasp a couple of concepts.
She's a junior.
Yeah. Hey, look, it took me a while in education. I don't know about you, but I got,
Is Chili running book too? At boot camp?
No.
All right, here we go. Here's the payouts from last week. I got 7.5 this week.
But I'm planning
Sucker
this.
line.
I've got Harbin's is coming out Friday, and I've got them coming out next week to do a project in the backyard where I can just let the dogs roam, and I don't have to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, you never have to deal with plumbing problems, heating or cooling problems. Our friends at Hemp Hill gets us going today, LT.
They do, Dunaway. 0% 60 months, qualified customers, plus free 10-year labor warranty when you mention the next round. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Make sure that HVAC unit ready to keep up with the changing weather. For all of your heating, cooling, and plumbing needs, trust a name that is Birmingham has trusted since 1954. Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
We'll spend the whole show talking football. So can I just start off the show briefly by talking about the Atlanta Braves? And if you are a Braves fan, go read Jason Stark's story on the Braves breaking the math of baseball.
Where do I find Jason Starr now? He used to be with ESPN.
He is the Athletic.
Okay.
He's at the Athletic subscription, but it's like $1 a month.
Still mustache or no mustache?
Don't see a picture of him
I think
on
he
the Athletic.
shaved before he left ESPN,
Yeah.
if I remember
Arthur
right.
Smith, Scotty's guy's got the worst mustache
I was
right now. in
watching them
sports.
play Green Bay, and I thought, every time they showed Arthur Smith, I thought all Lance can focus on is that mustache.
Awful. Anyway,
The guy's
sorry.
a really good football coach.
The Braves are the first team ever with 4 players having more than 35 home runs in the same season. They have a real chance over the last 11 games here to have 9 players with 20 or more home runs. Okay? But it really today is about Ronald Acuna, who hit another home run last night. He is 1 home run away and 3 stolen bases away from being he's already the first person in the 40-60 club or the 30-60 club. He's about to be the 40-70 club if he gets 1 home run and 3 stolen bases over the next 11 games. To put that into context for you, there are only 4 players in Major League Baseball history to have 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases in the year. That's Canseco, Bonds, A-Rod, and ironically Alfonso Soriano.
Oh, I'd have guessed Willie Mays. So Willie Mays didn't do it, huh?
Yeah.
Soriano was a good player, though.
Yeah.
Look, this is elite company by yourself. So when you're the first to ever do anything in a positive manner in Major League Baseball's history, where that is the biggest numbers game of any sport, that's impressive. But look, I mean, this team has been dominant. Strider, again, was dominant last night.
Yep.
And, I mean, they're obviously your favorite. I would assume they're around even money. I haven't checked odds to win the World Series lately.
I got it right here at mybookie.ag. So you think they're even money?
No, I would maybe plus 140.
All right,
But
I'll pull it up.
it's going to be close. I mean, I don't. Who else would you feel good about saying he's going to win the World
I
Series?
mean, as Daniel is saying, it's a lock for the Braves. I mean, easy ride.
Oof,
I think they don't want you to say
He's
it.
not saying that. Daniel's saying time for the shop door for Jim's seat, so he doesn't say the Braves are a lock.
lock
It's
for
not
what?
a prediction. Not a prediction, obviously.
I mean, I don't feel good about anybody in the American League. I just don't. And then when you look at the National League, I mean, the Dodgers have a lineup that could be interesting.
According to mybookie.ag, this is updated today. The Braves are plus 265 to win the World Series.
That's heavy favorites, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, Dodgers are plus 410. That's the next closest.
yeah, I mean they're the definitive favorite.
Yeah.
I think you get value there with the Braves. I mean, you put $1,000 and you win $2,650.
Houston plus 600, Baltimore plus 630. Your Rays plus 860. Don't know, they're fifth.
They are just a bunch of dogs, Brownie.
Got some dog in them?
Yeah, they got no stars. They're just dogs out there. So just a little Braves love to start off because we don't talk a lot of baseball once football season starts until we get to the postseason. So the Braves and Ronald Acuna setting some amazing numbers. Matt Olson already at 52 home runs. So the Braves continuing to stack good upon good. And Shohei Ohtani, by the way, went on and had his surgery, elbow surgery yesterday. He will be able to hit in 2024. They say the projection of him pitching again is 2025. And here's Ohtani last night on Instagram. This is the English version. I was going to read the Japanese version.
please do.
No, we got time. Pull it up.
But I don't have the script in front of me, but there's the English version translated. But it ended with "Go Halos" at the bottom, which now has Angels fans excited to see he goes to free agency.
No, I think he
maybe we
meant
can get him.
Go Halos, like get away from me.
Get away from me, Jinx franchise.
Go Halos, like the check is still coming from them. So until it's not, I'm going to pretend like
Now
I'm
that
pulling for it.
Otani's only swinging it in 24, though, that is going to hurt the contract.
Yeah, but I think that's why his agent was made a good point that the plan is for him to pitch and hit in 2025. So whoever's buying us,
That's right.
is buying two players.
Yeah, you only get 1 year of one player.
Yeah. Oh, but you will not get to check my elbow out before you sign me to this long-term
I'll
contract.
play next year for $40 million, just swinging it, and then in 2025, then you really up that contract.
Yeah, so that's your baseball news as we get going. Let's jump into a lot of football. We got a lot to get to today, including our sneaky good game. I want to get y'all's top six as we move forward, the sort of playoffs and the first two looking out. Brown does it a little different. But we mentioned, I just threw in passing sucker lines, okay? MyBookie.ag is where we play all the time. Lance'sLock.com for all the great plays. And as Lance told you yesterday, 7-2-1 in the NFL this past weekend, an amazing number. We get back to NFL football Thursday night. Actually, some good weekday Thursday games coming up. Georgia State and Coastal Carolina will be a good one on Thursday night. On Friday, you got a Wisconsin-Purdue battle that'll be interesting. And Air Force San Jose State, which will be a great game on Friday night as well. Air Force may be the best team in the Mountain West. So some good Thursday, Friday before we get to an iconic Saturday weekend coming up. But I saw 7.5 points referred to as a sucker line by someone online last night. Are there certain lines, as you look at them, that for the laymen who are placing bets that you consider to be a sucker line? Like, is 7.5 a sucker line? Is 4.5 a sucker? Is there certain lines?
You're talking about the number, not the game,
not the
necessarily.
specific game, just that number.
So like 7.5, the layman, which I would be thinking, all right, I like that number because, a late touchdown in a tie game or
Well,
something
you like that
that
number if you're playing the dog. You don't necessarily like that number if you're
That's
playing
right,
the
yeah.
favorite.
I guess are there certain numbers that you want to stay away from, like a 7.5, 4.5, 3.5? Is there a certain number you always buy the hook down or buy it
Not
up
for
or
me.
anything like that?
Now,
Not for you.
traditionally, like if I'm playing a college football game and the number's 3 or 7, or an NFL game and the number is 7, then I'm going to buy it. You can't buy on 3 anymore in the NFL because so many games hit on that number. We saw it Monday night, and bookmakers got slayed back in the day because everybody would buy that hook, and they would win both sides.
Yeah.
So that was not good for the bookmaker back in the day. But I rarely buy halves. There was a handicapper around town that told everybody to buy halves, and the only reason he did is because it wasn't his extra 10% he was putting down. And if he told you to buy a half and it hit, then he could take credit for that, whether it was a win or a push. But, you know, if I've got a significant wager on a game, let's say Alabama right now is 7 against Ole Miss, I do like Bama initially, I would buy it down to 6.5.
Yeah. Boy, now that I think about it, when old 416 called up from Sherwood Forest, and I would call in, I think my guy told me, don't you want to buy the hook there? And I was like, you're right, I do.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bookie,
Thank
for
you,
looking
Mr.
out for
Bookie,
me.
for giving me educational advice here on the payphone.
Yeah, what a nice gentleman this is. I think I'll keep doing business with him.
I'm telling you, man, if you were Phil Mickelson's bookmaker,
I know.
that guy's probably retired. He's probably drinking a cocktail right now.
He's
on the beach.
That guy's made a
He's in the
killing.
Maldives right now.
Yeah, I'd be typing out my book.
And I
on an
guarantee
old
if Phil
typewriter.
called him up, he would be an enabler. He wouldn't be like, Phil, you said you weren't gambling this year.
I won't tell anybody.
Yeah, Phil, I'm not going to charge you juice this year.
I just lured him back in.
Alabama is at 7 this morning at mybookie.ag. Alabama favored by 7, and the Auburn line up to 7.5. Texas A&M favored.
What is the Bama team total? I would say 27.
You'll have to give me 2 seconds on
No,
that.
higher than that, probably 31.
Yeah, the overall total is 55.5.
Yeah, probably 31.
Yeah, Alabama total is 31.
Yeah.
So you feel good about that?
The Alabama team total is 31?
Team total is 31.
Oh, I'd take 31 right now and run out of Bryant-Denny Stadium with my
I
hair
don't
on
feel
fire.
good about that.
You don't?
I feel better about. I mean, if I had to play one side, I mean, you think about.
No, I'm saying if Alabama scored 31, I would take that and run out of the stadium cheering.
Well, they've only scored 41 points over the last 2 weeks. That is their least output in back-to-back games since 2017. Again, you just don't see a Bama team over the last decade, really, that doesn't score points. And this team, even in their losses to Ole Miss, I guess the loss in Oxford, they didn't really score.
That was like, what was that, 17-14 or something like that? The one where O.J. Howard, you said he didn't go up for the ball hard enough, interception in the end zone.
Boy, we have some private conversations
You
now.
literally said it on the show.
Yeah.
Literally said it on
but
the
we've
show.
got a statute of limitations here. I think it's 1 month.
Yeah. No, that one you said on the air, and I didn't disagree with you. You were like, O.J. Howard's got to go up for that ball.
The
hard.
infamous Jake Coker coming back in the game.
Well, that was 48-45 or something.
That was balls bouncing off helmets.
I was talking to one of our friends today on the way in, and Ole Miss fan. You guys probably know who I'm talking about, and he's like, "We're gonna get our ass whipped again."
I kind of agree.
I do too. He's like, for whatever reason, and he was like, I get Lane Kiffin the way he's talking shit because he always does that. He loves to poke the cage, but for whatever reason, once he gets in Tuscaloosa on the opposing sideline, he forgets how to call plays.
Yeah, this game, and Neal McCready will be with us at 10, and I'm not going to put words in Neal's mouth, but I'll ask Neal this, and I guarantee you I know Neal's answer because I've talked to him on shows. It's not even private conversations. This is Lane Kiffin's Super Bowl. Like, I genuinely think if you said, Lane, you could either beat Nick Saban in Tuscaloosa or go to the college football playoff, that Lane would have to think about the answer.
Yeah.
No. I think I'm not saying he would say beat Nick Saban in Tuscaloosa is the answer, but I think he'd have to think about it.
I said it Monday and I said it Tuesday. I'll say it again on Thursday, Wednesday, and Friday. Sure, I'm sure. But he said it in the offseason. He says, one of my biggest regrets as a coach so far is that I've yet to beat Nick Saban.
Oh, no, this is his Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This is his
I
Super Bowl.
wish somebody would point out, 3 different assistants under Nick Saban have beaten him.
Oh,
now.
no, he knows that, and he's upset he wasn't the first one. Yeah, there's no doubt. And now, not only was he not the first one, other guys have done it, and he's not even one of them, right? No. This is a personal game for Lane Kiffin. It's the reason he's acting the way he's acting. This is his Super Bowl. Now,
and on the other side, Saban wants to do everything he possibly can to make sure Lane Kiffin never beats him.
Well, I mean, here's my big takeaway in the opening segment. It has to do sort of with what you're talking about here. Brought to you by our friends at Hydra Live, getting you ready for another big weekend starting on Thursday. Why not slide by Hydra Live and get juiced up for the week?
Yeah, I talked to some people that are going down to Tuscaloosa on Friday, and look, there's a location right there in Tuscaloosa for you. IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, compression therapy, all under one roof, open 7 days a week. Hoover, Denver, Homewood. As I mentioned, Tuscaloosa, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. If you can't make it to Hydro Life, guess what? They can send a nurse to your work or home. Again, follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Hydro Life Therapy, hydrolifetherapy.com for more information. Mention next round at checkout. Save 20% off any of their great services. Again, that is from our friends at Hydro Life.
Stan in the Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat room. Sarkeesian is the other one. It was the loss earlier this year. Kirby, Jimbo, and Sark have done it now. My big question and my big point here, and Danny and Dusty were discussing this a little bit on the Sirius XM ride in this morning.
Mine went out this morning, by the way.
Your Sirius XM free package?
You didn't pay your bill?
Well, no, it wasn't the free package. It just randomly ran out.
Did you not pay your subscription?
Well, I mean, yeah, I paid a subscription, but now it has run out.
Oh, the subscription's over.
Yeah.
That's what, so you didn't renew.
Yeah,
Mine's
I'm going to
reoccurring.
renew today.
Yeah.
That's a reoccurring one.
Yeah, you can set it up where it just hits your
You
card
know,
every year.
I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I know.
It is exceptionally hard, yeah.
For whatever DoorDash bonus or plus or whatever, they renew mine, and I never set it up.
Okay, this is obvious. But we are sitting here going into a weekend where on Saturday night, I don't think the world would be totally floored if the two teams that have been in the college football playoffs the most are eliminated from the college football playoffs this year.
Alabama and Clemson?
Alabama and Clemson.
Yeah.
I mean, Clemson's at home where they're really good against Florida State. Bama's at home where they've been really good against Ole Miss. Both could win the game. Wouldn't surprise me if both win the game. But if they are to lose this weekend, then Alabama and Clemson, who have been in college football playoffs more than anyone else in this four-team era, would both be eliminated.
Well,
there'd be no path back. No path back for either one.
And the puzzling thing about both those teams, the reason you're having this discussion is these games are so unpredictable based on the way one of the teams played last week. Clemson, Florida State, to me, is a very unpredictable game. Florida State looks so good until they went to Boston College. And if Jeff Hafley doesn't get really aggressive with his two-point conversions, BC's got a legit chance to win that game. He was chasing points, which is a pet peeve of mine. But Alabama played the way they played against South Florida, so you really have a hard time figuring these games out.
Well, hey, and the number 3 team that has been prevalent in the college football playoff, Ohio State.
That was my next point.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose in South Bend, I find it hard to believe, because they don't have an elite quarterback right now with Cal McCord, that they're going to go unscathed in Big Ten play. And 2 losses, Ohio State's not getting there.
I don't know if you're reading through my Dasani water bottle here, but it had Clemson and Bama eliminated for the most part, and then it would have Ohio State on the clock, the third most team, if they end up losing this weekend to Notre Dame on the road in South Bend.
To Lance's point, I just think if they lose that game, you probably look at their quarterback situation as the reason why, and you're like, I know they've only got the one loss, but they don't have the quarterback they need to beat Michigan and Penn State, which is what they would end up having to do.
And McCord played well last week. It was against Western Kentucky, and they were massive favorites. But Sam Hartman is by far the best quarterback in that game.
Oh, yeah. I think absolutely. I talked to Lugabill about that yesterday on Ball, and he made a great point as to why Sam Hartman is better. We debated 2 quarterbacks, and maybe we can come back to this, don't we, because I'd be interested in your thoughts. Like Sam Hartman and Kyle McCord, a little more obvious.
I've got five games, and that is a big topic.
Okay.
We'll be glad to get into it in the next segment. It's a big topic.
I guarantee
have here.
you're going to hit on the other one we discussed.
Yeah, I mean, I got 5 games here where quarterback versus quarterback may not exactly line up, and it could dictate the outcome of the game. And we'll talk about that when we come back. We'll do our sneaky good game in the next segment as well. Neal McCready is our first guest. He'll join us at 10 o'clock, trying to prove to us that when Neal talks, it's not just Tyler Siskey with his hand up his shirt making Neal say things. We'll try to get that proof that Neal joins us without Siskey. You get McCready and Siskey on our Disrupt the Media YouTube channel every day. Like and subscribe over there. Live shows, 3 times a week?
3 times a week. They're there, obviously on demand all the time, though.
Yeah, 3 times a week, a
Good
new show. It's live, but you get it anytime you want right there. McCready and Siskey, Disrupt the Media. He'll be with us at 10. Our NIL deal with an Auburn linebacker, Elijah McAllister, joins us. Thanks to our friends at Craneworks at 10:45 Central Time. And maybe some other guests who will swing by and hang out with us today as well. As we get going today, hats off to Deion Sanders, rock star, cut number 7. First off, his player did it yesterday, night before last, and we played at Travis Hunter. But yesterday, Deion Sanders, at his news conference, had the opportunity, and we sent this out, Taylor Corn sent this out very quickly yesterday as Deion was making this announcement in Boulder. But he was very adamant about death threats to Colorado State's Henry Blackburn about the personal foul penalty on Travis Hunter. Here's Deion Sanders handling this perfectly.
Oregon's head coach has spoken about Colorado a few times in the past. Is it personal once again this week?
Well, wrong one, Rockstar. That's on me. Cut 6, please. Cut 6.
Henry Blackburn is a good player who played a phenomenal game. He made a tremendous hit on Travis on the sideline. You could call it dirty. You could call it he was just playing the game of football. But whatever it was, it does not constitute that he should be receiving death threats. This is still a young man trying to make it in life, a guy that's trying to live his dream and hopefully graduate with honors or degree, committed to excellence and go to the NFL. He does not deserve a death threat over a game. At the end of the day, this is a game. Someone must win, someone must lose. Everybody continues their life the next day. Very unfortunate. I'm saddened if there's any of our fans that's on the other side of those threats. I would hope and pray not, but that kid was just playing the best of his ability, and he made a mistake. So I forgive him. CU, our team forgive him. Travis he's forgiven him. Let's move on. But that kid does not deserve that.
Yeah, love the way Dion handled that there. I don't know how you guys feel about, death threats or physical harm threats.
Generally against them.
Yeah.
But I do believe that.
Rockstar, you're on board?
That's spice.
No, on social media, I don't always feel like
They're not serious.
I don't always feel like, A, they're serious, and B, I don't always believe they're from the fan base. Like, he says if any of our fans are behind that, and you think, well, Dion, who else would be behind it? I think there are just people in the world who occasionally will do things on social media just to do that on social media. I don't when an Alabama or Auburn fan or a Georgia fan or a Tennessee fan or in this case a Colorado fan allegedly sends death threats, I'm not always sure it's really fans of that fan base and not just people who like to jump on the internet and do crazy shit.
Well, I think 99.9% of death threats are just idle threats, hollow threats. And I also believe a lot of people make up, hey, this person threatened me and my family.
That happens too.
Yeah, that happens a lot too. I don't believe it in this case. I think there were there were death threats. But it's completely ridiculous. As I said yesterday, if it was Colorado fans, these are the same people that didn't give a rat's ass about football last year. And now, because one of your players is down for a couple of weeks on a late hit, you're going to threaten a guy and his family. Again, I think most of them are idle threats. And I think a lot of it's made up, but not in this case.
Craig says now Coach Prime has created this atmosphere. It's personal.
Well, that doesn't constitute death threats, though. Come on, man.
There's
most murders are personal, though.
Well, they are, but I think we could draw the line between they've made this football game personal and, oh my God, I'm going to kill you because you knocked our star out.
Yeah. You do turn up. You do turn up the heat a lot, and
but I'm not going to blame Prime for an idiot saying something like that.
100%,
on
100%,
Twitter. Yeah,
100%. Jay Norvell added to it last week, too.
Of course he did, but I'm not going to blame him either.
Created that atmosphere that maybe led to some late hits in the game.
Okay.
That doesn't constitute anything after that.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's not going to be death threats.
Great point by Travis Hunter, and then great by Dion to be real men and stand up and say, hey, enough's enough. Let's say it's part of football. Let's move on. He got flagged for it, and we won the game.
After this week, Colorado fans are going to go back to smoking. Hey, I need the big gravity bong.
Yeah. LT is saying it's about to be 420 in Boulder for the rest of the football season.
It might be 420 total yards from Oregon in the first half.
New York Butcher Shop can cure the munchies for you as you go to another football weekend, LT. Tell us about New York Butcher.
Yeah, get in and see Jim. When I rolled in, I missed Brown by just a couple of minutes on Friday.
I would have bought your steaks if I'd known you were coming.
And Jim, would you have? And Jim showed me.
I'm having deja vu all over again.
Jim showed me under the butcher coat. He had the next round shirt on. But just a great guy. The food's even better. Again, for all of your Angus prime beef steaks, burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, all natural chicken cut to order, chef-prepared entrees, side dishes, perfect dinner-to-go choice for you and your family, ready to heat at home with a great selection of fine wines and desserts. New York Butcher Shop, one-stop dinner shop, 2 locations, Cabo Heights, Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
Call the next round now at 205-734-0923.
The next round brought to you by the biggest and baddest track in NASCAR, the Talladega Superspeedway. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming up. You don't want to miss it. The action kicks off Saturday, September 30th with the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, all leading up to the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs on Sunday, October the 1st. Be there to see these drivers battle for 500 miles to survive and advance to the next round of the playoffs. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Again, that is TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
The wait is over. Tonali has arrived. Beautifully distinctive Italian styling and performance. Come test drive the all-new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonali plug-in hybrid at Alfa Romeo of Birmingham. The all-new Tonali offers best-in-class horsepower and torque, fastest 0 to 60 times in its class, plus best-in-class range with full electric charge. And best of all, qualified Tonali leasees are eligible for up to $7,500 EV tax credit factored into your lease. Hurry down to Alfa Romeo of Birmingham and experience the all-new Tonali.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
Man, I love a good meal. I'm Jim Dunaway. A good meal is what you get with my friend Sterling at Champy's Chicken on Highway 119 in Alabaster. We're talking great southern fried chicken, wonderful sides, hand-cut chicken fingers, po' boys, and those Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. You got a perfect menu for everybody. Champy's Chicken is perfect for watching the big game, or taking a meal to the lake house, down to the coast, or stay in the restaurant and dine in a great atmosphere. It's all made fresh to order right there on 119 in Alabaster, Champy's Chicken.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
The next round golf card is back and it's presented by Urology Centers of Alabama. For $89, play Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the renovated Woodward Golf Club. $247 in value for just $89. Or get bonus gifts with the Deluxe Golf Card for $119. No restrictions, good through September of 2024, but supplies are limited. Buy right now at nextround.store.
Getting ready for the big race weekend. If you are a NASCAR fan at Bristol this past weekend, you saw Dale Jr. He's racing just in a couple of races for his team. He jumped in a car for the whatever used to be the Grand National, the Saturday races. He jumped in it at Bristol and was running in the top 10, was going to finish really well, except he started smelling something burning inside his car. And looked down, and it was his right leg. A ball of fire down around his right leg. He had to pull over, jump out, and he had a singed right leg of his fire suit was singed.
Wow, well, that's good. Good commercial for the fire suit. He did not feel that.
He was like, man, on the radio, he goes, guys, I started to smell something burning, and then he was like, hi, it's me.
Guess what, fellas? Funny story.
Smells like my right leg.
Yep.
You can go watch the excitement of NASCAR racing. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Tickets September 30th for the Truck Series. Hardy in concert on Saturday night. And then October 1st is the Cup race, Yellowwood 500. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com for your tickets. What does Hardy always tell you, Brownie, with his hit song?
Wait in the truck.
Is it stay in the truck or wait in the truck?
I think it's wait in the truck. Stay in the truck. Stay in the truck. That's a good song. I like it. Hey, he pays that old boy back, doesn't he?
He does. He does.
What's he do to him?
You'll need to listen to the song.
I don't want to ruin the ending for you.
He picks a girl, and Lance
I'll
will
never
never
listen
listen to the song in a million years.
it.
It's Lainey Wilson and Hardy. Lainey Wilson's on the side of the road. He picks her up. She's been beat up by the boyfriend. He says, tell me where he lives. She shows him where he lives. He pulls the heater out from under the seat, walks in.
It tells her to stay in the truck.
So you stay in the truck, walks in.
Then he hits a tripwire and he gets his head blown off.
Puts a slug in him, smokes one of his cigs, waits on the cops. They take him to prison, and she comes and visits him in prison occasionally.
Yeah.
But
Conjugal visits?
Lance, it's a 3-minute song. So
3 minutes and 7 seconds.
I didn't get the whole story.
You got to read. You got to read between the lines a little bit.
Hey, I'll save it for the viewing menu, but I saw a documentary last night that you guys would have tapped out within 10 minutes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
No doubt. You watch a lot of dark stuff, but I don't think I can actually survive. I don't have the constitution for it.
It wasn't really. I guess it was dark. I don't know.
All right. Sneaky Good Games every day is our spotlight. It is brought to you today by our friends at mybookie.ag. Mybookie.ag. Tell us about MyBookie, and then Rockstar is going to hit the open.
Okay, don't forget mybookie.ag for this football weekend. It all starts Thursday night, as Jim said, with a pretty good college slate, an NFL game, and you can play it right now at mybookie.ag. They got a brand new cash-out system. Listen to this one. Let's say you play a parlay, and those first 2 legs, they're in the house, and you're good to go, and you're like, I just don't feel good about that third leg, or I don't want to stay up and watch, Washington State try to get a game to the house. You can cash out and use that money elsewhere at mybookie.ag. Sign-on bonus up to $200 for any initial deposit of $50 or more when you go to mybookie.ag and use code NEXTROUND. That's the key there. Use code NEXTROUND at mybookie.ag to get that sign-on bonus. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Mybookie.ag, code NEXTROUND.
The College Football Spotlight.
This weekend's sneaky good game.
Sneaky good game this week. I'll start us off here. 2:30 ESPN. BYU in Kansas. They're in Lawrence. Big win for BYU last week against Arkansas. 38-31. Did not think the Cougars could get that done. Still unbeaten? Are they one of the 39 teams still unbeaten, BYU?
Yep, they sure are.
They were very unimpressive the first 2 weeks, but very impressive week 3 at Arkansas.
And now they're going in to play Kansas. You love Kansas's quarterback.
Yeah, Jalen Daniels. BYU, and they're one of my teams I drafted. They will get dick whipped in this.
Okay.
The old dick whippings.
BYU will.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Kansas will roll them off.
Rockstar, you going to watch this one now?
Oh, yeah. I love a good dick whipping.
The old DW happening here.
Why is there a mirror in front of me?
KU.
Hey, so
why is your beak so big? Oh, it's
I called it last week. Did I not say what was going to happen in Arkansas BYU?
You did.
You did.
BYU soaked in that victory.
You got the headline right. Yeah.
I am going to. I asked Luganville this question on Ball yesterday. If you take away Texas and Oklahoma, is there a chance the winner of that game is the best remaining team in the Big 12 of all the future Big 12 teams? I mean, you'd probably still say Kansas State, even though they lost at Missouri.
I still
You're talking the winner of the BYU
game.
BYU KU game?
Yeah.
They're not a future Big 12 team anymore. They are a Big 12 team.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. The future Big 12.
Oh.
You didn't hear the first part of my question. Without Texas and Oklahoma, if you look at the future Big 12, would that be the best team? The winner of this game, would they be the best team among the future Big 12 teams?
Kansas? No.
Who is it?
Once Lance Leipold leaves, it's...
Yeah.
No. I'm talking about right now. Currently.
I would go Kansas State ahead of that.
You think they're better than Kansas?
Yeah.
That'd be a hell of a game this year.
It'd be a really good game.
Yeah.
Sunflower Showdown.
But look, you're out of teams now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who else? Who are you going to say is better than Kansas?
I mean, I picked UCF to beat Kansas State this past weekend, so maybe UCF.
Yeah,
at some
Houston
point.
could end up being good.
It could.
Oklahoma State's always in the mix.
I'm just saying.
BYU KU. Browns had 2 references to ball. You can get that in the first 2 segments. You can get that at Disrupt the Media. Disrupt the Media for the other 47 minutes he hasn't already shed on the show. Go check that out at Ball with Tom Luganville. Disrupt the Media.
Is that Jim hates like promoting our content?
Is that our replay show today too?
It is not. It is Bama and Bourbon, which Lance was on.
Bama and Bourbon later today when the show is
Single
done.
barrel Jack Daniels yesterday. Custom made bottles for me.
I saw that. That was so nice.
I saw that too when I was doing the breakout for it last night. I was like, it was an interesting segment, and then the bottle was cool.
Yeah, I got to hang out with Jack a little bit. I don't know if it was actually the distillery or if it was
the distributor.
Beverage place, and they might have got it done at the distillery.
Yeah.
Or the distributor, or beverage place in pink package. I really don't know. I didn't ask questions.
Anytime you get a bottle of liquor with your name on it, it's almost
I saw young Jack yesterday, and he was like, "You're probably saving that for a special occasion." I'm like, "Saturday."
Yeah.
There they are right
All
there.
Saturdays are special, Lance. We've got 2 now.
Yeah.
Because
Bama,
we've got that, what was it, a Jim Beam somebody brought us that's got our name on it?
The one with the melted wax on
Yeah.
Maker's Mark.
Maker's Mark. Yeah, it's got her name on it.
Yeah. Bama and Bourbon right there. Lance Taylor and Aaron Suttles, as it says. The single barrel. It's part of Bama and Bourbon. And let's see if you get this right, LT. Where can you find Bama and Bourbon?
Bama and Bourbon would be on Tide Pods, Dunaway.
It's Roll Tide Pods.
Roll Tide Pods. Like and subscribe.
As you referred to it, Bama Pods one time in that.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Little T had given me a heads up. She goes, as you break that down, count how many different times LT doesn't get Roll Tide Pods correctly.
All you got to do is come up and say, hey, what? You know what? This is what you got to say. We have like 18 channels now.
That's right.
And by the way, I've got 4 shows outside of this show to do today and then trivia.
Today?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
4 more today?
4 more today.
I thought you had 4 yesterday.
We moved the original round table. I've got Unlocked. I've got Spitting Lugs. I've got Chip Brown, and then we've got trivia.
Oh, Chip Brown's not for us, so that's
That's for Chip Brown.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, right
Chip
there
Brown Industries.
in his neck of the woods, what is that? Brown, what is that? Can you show me what that thing
That's
is?
a lollipop.
That's not a lollipop.
No, that's an iron
what?
skillet. That's an iron skillet.
It is an iron skillet.
Rockstar was right. It did look like Snoopy's nose.
It is an iron skillet. It could be a black lollipop.
Yeah.
Talking about me being dark. Who's ever had a black lollipop?
I thought it was going to be a water tower.
SMU and TCU. 48 wins for TCU in the history of this rivalry. 41 losses, 7 ties. This should be a really good game, though.
No. Blowout.
Oh.
Who blows out who?
SMU over TCU. Blowout.
Wow.
Where is it? Is it in Fort Worth or Dallas?
That game is in Fort Worth.
I'll do whatever the point spread is. Take SMU for a steak right now.
You want me to find it at my bookie there, Lance? You interested in
I've
this?
got it. I think it's 6.5. I don't know if I want to stay. I don't want to watch this shitty game.
You don't have to watch it.
Jim will tell you how it turns out.
You don't have to watch it.
I love you selling it as your sneaky good game.
No, I was going to say,
I don't want to do is watch
I
it.
gave you the time. I gave you FS1, but I ain't watching it. But it might be one of those you turn it on late when it's in the third overtime. That's why I think it's going to be a good game, so I would take the underdog too.
Yeah. Who's the underdog?
I can't find it. What's the kick
I don't
time?
know. SMU's at TCU, a team that played for the national championship last year.
Well,
You
but
tell me
they're
who the
no good.
underdog is.
Well, I would assume TCU is because
TCU favorite
TCU's
6.5.
a 7-point favorite.
6.5.
And you think SMU's getting almost a touchdown?
Yeah.
Dude, I will take a steak. I'll take SMU straight up. I don't need them. I'm kicking myself right now for not making them an upset alert.
I'll take TCU straight up for a steak. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it could go either way, but what the hell?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what the hell? What's your sneaky good game, bro?
I'm going to go in the Big 12 here. Texas Tech, a surprising 1-2.
You two have some ass whippings on this. I like it.
It's not a contest. West Virginia, who is coming off one of the bigger wins of the Neal Brown era, actually, that win over Pitt.
Which is sad.
It is sad, but somebody is going to be in trouble for the season if they lose this one.
Oh, yeah.
Texas Tech, a 6-point favorite on the road in Morgantown, 2:30 ESPN. It got smudged right there, plus on that one. Stream that one.
Streaming only, that great Big 12 television package that they've got there. A little streaming. That's our unbelievable sneaky good games this weekend. And, hey, those are good football games. That's how good the slate is coming up this weekend.
Yeah, those would have been 3 of the better games last week.
I would have watched them all.
Would have been all fantastic. So I wanted to get to the quarterback conversation that Brown had yesterday on Ball with Tom Luganbill. Disrupt the Media is where you get that. Disrupt the Media, the YouTube channel. Go like and subscribe. Which one did you say you compared? It was McCord and Hartman, right?
we were talking about that, and then we started some of these Pac-12 games to this weekend.
Okay, I'm going to go through 5 games here, and you just tell me quarterback on quarterback if you think one team has a distinct advantage at quarterback that makes you feel like that team's going to win the football game.
Right.
And we'll start with that one. Kyle McCord and Sam Hartman in South Bend. One of them is extremely experienced in Sam Hartman.
There's no doubt it's a distinct advantage. Is it going to decide this game? I don't know the answer to that part of the question, but, I mean, I don't think anybody can argue Sam Hartman's a better quarterback than Kyle McCord right now.
Well, I mean, Sam Hartman's thrown a touchdown pass in 34 straight games.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle McCord's played in 3 games.
He hasn't watched 34 games.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Hartman is 6th right now in QBR. He's got an FBS best 13 passing touchdowns. You know, for Notre Dame, it comes down to their secondary. Can their secondary keep up with those receivers?
Shedeur Sanders, Bo Nix, I think Shedeur probably has a bigger upside in the NFL, but in this atmosphere, in this type of game, and with the personnel around them.
But so I brought that one up with Luganville, and I immediately said, hey, Oregon's got the quarterback advantage here in Bo Nix over Shedeur Sanders, and maybe they do. But then I talked myself out of it because if you traded Shedeur Sanders and Bo Nix, what's the outcome of this game?
I would like Oregon even more.
So who's got the quarterback advantage?
Colorado does.
You think, but I mean, you can't say it's
not
significant.
huge.
It's not significant.
It's not significant. They are way closer than.
But
you
the
would
10
have thought.
around him on the other side, I would love to see Shedeur quarterback a really good roster.
And that's what I told Luganville. I was like, Shedeur Sanders might be the better pro prospect. I'm not going to argue that one. And Luganville's point was, if Shedeur was experience-wise where Bo is, this is not even a discussion. But there is an experience gap.
Yeah,
there.
and so Bo Nix, believe it or not, is quiet as the career really was at Auburn. He is only the second player in FBS history to have 50-plus touchdowns at two schools. 50-plus at Auburn, 50-plus now at Oregon. Do you know who the other quarterback is?
At two schools.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of obvious once.
But you tell us.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Is it FBS?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Power 5. Once I say it, you're going to be like, oh, damn, yeah, that was easy.
I would.
Which is really difficult to do, but we're going to see more and more of this now with the portal.
Russell Wilson only played the 1 year at Wisconsin, right?
1 year at NC State. Or actually 2 years, but they weren't great years.
But Jalen Hurts only played 1 year. It's going to be Caleb Williams.
No, Caleb only played the 1 year at Oklahoma.
Okay, so Jalen only played one at Oklahoma.
Yeah,
It's
you're
not
going to
enough
have
there.
to play 2 years.
No, it was
It is
Jalen Hurts.
So he
It
scored
was
50
Jalen
in that
Hurts?
1 year.
Yeah.
He got 50 1 year at Oklahoma.
He was a Heisman finalist.
Well, I know that,
was,
but
but
50 touchdowns.
50 's a big
Lincoln
number.
Riley was his coach.
Yeah.
But so Jalen Hurts and Bo Nix are the only players to have 50-plus at two different FBSs. So Bo's got a ton of experience. I think that's going to be part of the difference here. I also think the depth of Colorado is going to start to show up week after week. And Travis Hunter not playing is going to be a big factor.
Yeah,
And we got to see him up close and personal, both those guys.
Yep.
Three more really quickly. In the big one in Death Valley, Jordan Travis and Cade Klubnik.
Travis is the better quarterback.
That kid has played 1,000 games at quarterback for Florida State. Jordan Travis has.
Yeah. He's the better quarterback, but he was banged up at halftime. He got hit right before the half of that Boston College game. Came back out and played, but it's hard to believe that didn't affect him a little bit, the way they played in the second half.
Non-throwing arm, but it is something.
But I mean, going to the locker room, it looked like he may not play the second half.
Dante Moore and possibly Cam Rising. Where are we on Cam Rising playing this week? Have we heard anything?
The report was they were holding him out one more week against Weber State last week to play in the Pac-12 opener. That's what Brock Heward told me last week on Unlocked. It looks like, based on this number, Cam Rising's going to play. But let's not sleep on UCLA. Not only is Dante Moore really good, but UCLA's defense right now only giving up 2 yards a carry.
I brought that up yesterday. I thought this may be the two best defensive teams in the Pac-12. You gave me Washington and somebody else.
No, I gave you Washington, Utah.
Yeah, Washington, Utah. Yeah,
I mean,
I threw UCLA into the mix as well. And then one here locally that I think is has to be talked about: Jackson Dart versus Jalen Milroe. Quarterback advantage likely in Oxford, Mississippi.
No, you got the quarterback advantage in Jackson Dart. Alabama will take Jackson Dart in a heartbeat right now. Now, again, I'm not saying these quarterback advantages are necessarily going to win the game.
No, but Jackson Dart right now in the SEC is second in QBR. He leads the SEC quarterbacks in rushing yards. So he's one of those guys. Bama will have Ole Miss behind the 6, 3rd and 11, and he'll find a window and he'll scramble for 15 yards. Yeah. And he is that kind of frustrating quarterback. And I said this, he just throws his body out there. He's not afraid to get completely destroyed on a play.
Experience advantage: Florida State, Oregon, Utah, Ole Miss, and Notre Dame in those 5 big games coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
They've got the experience advantage. Doesn't necessarily mean they'll end up having the best game or the victory. Just thought that was interesting. Redmond Vodka, before we take our next break, brings you this big college football weekend.
Yeah, hey, gluten-free, 8 times distilled. It's a local product. You're going to absolutely love it. Available in 22 states now. Ask for it by name. If you're whatever restaurant or bar you're in doesn't have it, tell them to get it. It is Redmond Vodka.
And we're heading to the Grocery Pub right there in Homewood, coming up tomorrow night for Bud Light Game Night. Can't wait to get there. 5 to 7 will be there. The show and our video platforms are 6 to 7. Come in person to the Grocery Pub. QR code available. That's how you register for a chance to win a pair of Alabama and Auburn tickets on Thursday nights with us. Come by, scan the QR code, have a cold Bud Light, and we get ready for football starting again tomorrow night. That's Bud Light and our Bud Light game night right there, the Grocery Brew Pub right there in Homewood, right before the Giants and 49ers and all the college football action. That's our Bud Light game night.
Everything Next Round is on demand now in the podcast section at nextroundlive.com.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service. Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about our friends at Gutter Cap. Gutter Cap's that patented aluminum cover system that fits over most existing gutters to keep out debris and eliminate that gutter cleaning. It's backed with a lifetime warranty, almost 20-year service record right here in Birmingham. Stay off that dangerous ladder forever. 45% off the retail price now if you call guttercapbirmingham.com. Call my good friend Chris Stewart now, 205-823-2212. Cap it, don't snap it. It's Gutter Cap.
You hear a lot of interesting phrases while playing golf, like, I think you're on the beach, or the classic, you gotta hit it, Alice. One word you're sure to hear right now at Bent Brook Golf Club is wow. Brand new carts with complimentary GPS and the bent grass greens are so consistent, you just might drain a few more putts, Alice. Tee it up and find out for yourself. Book around today at bentbrook.com or call 428-1999. It's better at Bent Brook.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round. You've heard me for years talk about our friends at Bromberg's Jewelers, and we welcome you to stop by and see that great customer service at the Mountain Brook and Summit locations, but we'd also love for you to check out their new online shop. They've got plenty to choose from. Great gifts, big and small. Available online, they've got David Yurman, Tudor watches, select diamond and gemstone jewelry, William Henry, seasonal and favorite giftware items and baby gifts as well. They've even got an online sale section. For more information, brombergs.com.
Do you need extra cash handy? Look no further than Legacy Credit Union for whatever loan your lifestyle requires. It only takes a few minutes to apply and request the amount you need to give you peace of mind. With affordable low rates and manageable payback plans, a Legacy Lifestyle loan is crafted just for you. Apply online today at legacycreditunion.com/join. Lifestyle loans from Legacy. Terms and conditions may apply. Legacy is federally insured by the NCUA. You have all heard of Red Wing Shoes, but what is Red Wing Shoes? It's the place where men buy boots, plain and simple. Who are Red Wing's customers? They are construction workers, warehouse employees, college students, the guy that fixes your AC, the guy at the end of the bar, the IT guy. Red Wing is a father, Red Wing is a son, Red Wing is a cult following shared by all men. A classic, comfortable pair of cool boots with a story to tell. What's your Red Wing story? Red Wing Shoe Stores, located in Pelham and Trussville.
By the way, if you're on the Colorado coaching staff, I don't know if you're the defensive line coach, if you're worried, or if he's just going to be a off-the-field assistant. But Warren Sapp confirming yesterday he has agreed to be part of Deion Sanders' Colorado staff starting in 2024. So Warren Sapp,
wow,
is he a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
He's already in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Yeah, there with my Tampa Bay Bucks from back in the day. Getting ready for a huge college football weekend. Always a lot of fun with our friends at Odie's, where
tonight is
Trivia. Trivia.
Odie's team trivia. Me and Rocky will be out there. You're going to learn something. You learn something every time you come out to Odie's team trivia. We'll start up about 8 o'clock. Get there early. Enjoy some of the great food from Rodney Davis, the delicious burgers, the wings, the sandwiches, chili season. They've got it at Odie's. Come join us. Ice cold beer buckets full of the Bud Light inside or outside on that patio. You can take advantage of that the fall weather, which will be here next week, but it's starting to cool off a little bit. Odie's Tavern, Crestline Village.
11 a.m. ABC, Florida State Clemson, Death Valley this weekend. Clemson's won 7 of their last 8 against AP top 10 teams in Death Valley. They've won 41 of 42 at Death Valley. Here comes Florida State on a roll. And we've got Dabo being Dabo right now up there at Clemson. Because if you watch that Duke game, they had kicks blocked of, let me get the numbers here, of 41 and 23 yards. The kicks, Robert Gunn was blocked. And then last week, they missed a 31-yard field goal against FAU and missed an extra point. So Dabo Swinney goes on in, and he says, we had this guy who is our backup kicker the last few years, and he has a year of eligibility left. So he gets on the phone. He calls Charleston, South Carolina. Jonathan White's is his name, 4-year backup, but because of COVID, he has a year of eligibility left. Jonathan spent the summer in Paris, and he's got a job and an apartment already in New York City. He's about to go start. Dabo called him up and said, hey, dude, you've got a year of eligibility left. Do you want to come and kick for us one more year? The guy said, well, I haven't kicked the ball since April.
All right.
So let me go out and I'll call you back. So apparently he grabbed a couple of footballs, ran to the local high school in Charleston, teed a couple up, kicked, called Dabo back and said, I'm in. Had to call his boss in New York, who ended up being okay with it all. And
obviously not a Florida State fan.
He is kicking this weekend. And Dabo says at the news conference yesterday that any short kick, 45 yards or shorter, the guy who was in Paris all summer long, hadn't kicked a ball since April, has been at practice all week, will be rolled out there in one of the biggest games of the year for Florida State and Clemson.
He's been in Paris. I mean, he might look like Harrison Mevis, the kicker from Missouri. Eating pastries and drinking wine at lunch. So Robert Gunn, this is so Dabo, though. This is the guy they were going to bring out before the first half ended and kick the 70-yarder against Duke on that Monday night. And the guy can't make an extra point. And he's one of 4 field goals this year. We'll see how this works out for Clemson. I do like Clemson in this spot. Hopefully it doesn't come down to a kick, now that you tell me that.
Well, Dabo says, I hope it doesn't come down to a kick too, but he says either it's going to be a great story or a terrible story, and either way it's all on me. It's if it's a terrible story, it's my fault putting this kid in this situation. He's just glad the boss is allowing him to do that and hopes he holds the job for him so he doesn't cost him his future career.
Do you guys think there's like a local feed company that has NIL money just kind of hanging out? Because if I'm that kid, I'm like, okay, I'll come back, but I'm going to need X amount of dollars. And then Dabo just makes a quick call.
I like how at Clemson is a local feed company.
I mean, you got to get NIL to come out of retirement, right?
Well, I mean, I guess. I don't know what else this guy's doing. I mean, if I'm on the beaches of France, I don't know what he was doing in France. What was he doing? Do you know?
Some internship, I think. And you're wondering, well, if he's not in school, how can he play? He was in graduate school online, finishing up his master's degree online. So he's technically a remote student for Clemson, so he's eligible to play.
That's a cool story.
Which I guess technically means Maggie could suit up for Duke women's basketball if they so wanted, since she's remotely a student there.
She got a good handle?
She does not. She does not.
She can dribble left. She can dominate that sport.
But you guys are saying in the Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat room, Clemson Jesus is going to ensure that this dude's kicking the game winner at the end.
I hope he is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to watch that game either way, but if this guy has got the game winner on his shoulders.
As long as they're down 2 or less. Actually, I won't play that game until 11 o'clock. I like Clemson.
You do?
I do like Clemson. I think at home, I think Florida State still has some flaws. I think they showed up last week. I know BC was playing inspired football. Florida State looked incredible in the second half against LSU. I just don't know if the team is whole right now. And Clemson still got players. I mean, Will Shipley is a guy that needs to get 25 touches a game.
We'll talk about some teams quickly here that want to keep the air in their balloon. They've sort of flipped the script, but it's a big weekend coming up for them. But it can go away NASCAR fast if you end up with a loss. Our friends at NASCAR coming back to Talladega, 200 miles per hour at the world's fastest speedway. You can be there September 30th and October 1st. Get your tickets, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. That ticket gets you in to see Hardy on Saturday night, a great country music concert there. It's all at Talladega, September 30th for the truck race in the playoffs, October 1st, Yellowwood 500, Talladega Superspeedway.com. So obviously, Florida State has come a long way, Brownie, since losing to Jacksonville State back in 2021.
Yes, they have. There's no doubt about that.
So 2021, they lose to Jacksonville State, and here we are in 2023, and they feel like a playoff team. I'll get y'all's top 6 as far as what we've seen on the field playoff coming up at around 10:25 in about 30 minutes. But other teams, if they lose this weekend, Florida State being one of them at Clemson, LT thinks the possibility the Noles go down. Texas is at Baylor. I don't know if they're on high alert, but Texas has obviously flipped the script on where they've been. They're now a playoff contender.
Boy, Baylor has been so bad offensively, Lance.
Yep.
They are still living on Dave Aranda's defense. Had Utah right where they wanted them and let Utah slip away, that would have been a big win to kind of bounce back with that win over Utah. I don't know what to make of Texas. They'll be in my top 4 here. I had them number 1 in the nation after they beat Alabama. But Luka Bill asked the question yesterday in our show, is Quinn Ewers primetime only? Is this a guy that when the spotlight's white hot, he's going to play? And when it's Rice and Wyoming, you may not get the best Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, if Blake Shapen was playing in this game, I think Baylor would have an opportunity. But Sawyer Robertson, if you've watched him over the last couple of weeks, he's
Ole Miss transfer, right?
Mississippi State.
State transfer.
Yeah,
right.
just not great quarterback play.
A couple other teams, 3 of them here, that have sort of flipped the script on where they usually are. Oklahoma last year, down and out. They're off to a good start. I don't know how tricky this game is at Cincinnati, but the point spread is not what I thought it was going to be as they go to Nipper Stadium.
Yeah, I think that Oklahoma should handle Cincinnati rather easily. I think Oklahoma's the real deal. Dylan Gabriel's playing great football right now, and that defense looks to be really improved.
Yeah, it's 14.5, so you thought it'd be bigger than that.
Yeah, I did. I thought it'd be a little bit bigger. I thought
That's
I
a
saw
big
it,
number, though,
I thought
on
I
the
saw it
road.
single digits, so I thought it was 9 to start with.
I don't know where it opened, but currently at my bookie, it's 14.5. That's a big. That is a big number conference game on the road.
Notre Dame is in a good spot right now with their start. They obviously have Ohio State, a win this weekend, and the sky's the limit for Notre Dame with the games they have left.
Well, you immediately
have
circle that
USC,
USC game, obviously, and even then, though, that's a game you could potentially lose and still get in. You got margin for error if you can beat Ohio State.
Yeah, but if you lose to Ohio State, you may not have
no margin for error.
At that point. And then there's Ole Miss. Say what you will about Ole Miss, but right now, 2 good wins, okay wins in Tulane and Georgia Tech. But a win over Alabama still would carry some value. And all of a sudden, if Ole Miss wins this game, you got to start thinking with LSU next week, there's an opportunity for Ole Miss for the first time ever to make it to Atlanta.
Yeah, I will at least entertain the conversation if they win this week in Tuscaloosa.
But not until, obviously.
Yeah, and I don't think they do, and I think it's the same old Ole Miss, same old Lane Kiffin.
But what about that? This week Alabama, next week LSU, and in 2 weeks Lane Kiffin could have Ole Miss thinking about Atlanta, a place the program has never been for the SEC championship.
Or the other side of that.
Or the other side.
Because they got, I think, Arkansas right after LSU. And if you've lost to Bama and LSU, all of a sudden.
One of those proverbial three-game stretches we talk about all the time. Speaking of Ole Miss, he doesn't just cover Ole Miss. He covers all of college football, McCready and Siskey. We'll find out if Tyler Siskey is actually making Neal McCready talk every day on that show, or if McCready has a brain of his own. It's such a great show every day. Our friend Taylor Korn, who handles our social media, watches that show every day, and she comes in and quotes that show every day. You can get it at Disrupt the Media. You'll hear from Neal McCready. Up next, we'll talk about the big one in Tuscaloosa and some more college football with him. Being brought to you in part today, LT, by the great folks at Hemp Hill.
Hemp Hill right now offering 0% for 60 months for qualified customers, plus a free 10-year labor warranty. When you mention the next round, call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Make sure that HVAC unit ready to keep up with the changing weather. Hemp Hill Services, locally owned and operated independent train dealer. The team can service all makes and models for all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling needs. Call Hemp Hill Services. It's hard to stop a train. Do it now. 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
Follow Rockstar on Twitter @RockstarBHM.
Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit urologycentersalabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today.
The 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by the Yellowwood 500. It's the NASCAR Playoff Series at Talladega Superspeedway on September 30th and October 1st. Get your tickets at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
As summer starts to fade, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of pest, it's fall invader season. Hold on tight because we've got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight. Box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and let's show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your party. Take charge today.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
DryTech Water Restoration is a locally owned company that specializes in mold remediation, fire and water damage cleanup, and SteraMist services. DryTech's goal is to provide clients with expert guidance when dealing with any home disaster. DryTech's highly trained specialists are available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They will work closely with you and your insurance company to make sure the process is stress-free as possible. Call DryTech today, 205-637-0143. The moment you discover damage to your home, DryTech's team will handle the rest.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
Make sure to start your day at nextroundlive.com. Get caught up on the latest podcasts and videos from the live daily show, plus specialty shows such as the Mystery Fifth Hour. You can also learn more about the whole staff at Double Down Media, find all of our social media feeds, see the latest videos from our YouTube channel and gaming channel, plus find other ways to consume the show like the Next Round mobile app, which you can download direct from the site via your iOS and Android device. Make nextroundlive.com your homepage and stay up to date with everything from us here at the Next Round.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Neal McCready standing by. We're about to talk college football with him. 39 unbeaten teams left as we go into the weekend. That includes Ole Miss, who's coming to Tuscaloosa, one of the big games in the country. Milo's always a big choice of ours for lunch. Milo's Classic Burger. If it's not enough for you, if you download the new Milo's app, after your first purchase, you also get the original cheeseburger for free. Stuff your face, earn free stuff. Download the Milo's app today and start earning rewards in those Milo's fries. Fantastic as well, our friends at Milo's.
All right, Neal McCready is with us. You see McCready and Siskey 3 times a week at Disrupt the Media. As always, links to everything in the description of this show that you are watching right now on YouTube. If you're watching us, if not, you can watch it and get it wherever you get your podcast of our show. It is a fantastic show. He is with us now on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. What is up, Neal? How are you?
Ryan, Jim, Lance, I'm good. I'm right now building my the lead to my weekly picks column, and I'm doing it with Taylor Swift lyrics. So far so good. It's been
Dunaway can help you. Dunaway and Lane Kiffin can help you all you need.
Yeah,
Let's read Dunaway's bicep.
Hey, I do have a Taylor Swift tattoo. I joked in a couple of segments about y'all's show every day. You, in my broadcasting career, I've always painted as sort of the dark hat, the villain in the media. You tell it like it is, and you've sometimes pissed off even fan bases you cover because you've always been.
Yes. Sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, from
Jim, without fail.
100%. And now you're it's hard for you to be the villain on your show with your name on it because of Siski. I mean, that guy comes in with piss and vinegar every day.
Yeah. I'm suddenly like much more tolerated because they hate him. Yeah. I mean, I'm the straight guy on the show. I do, and I don't mean that. No, you know what I mean.
Yeah, we got you.
I just set him up. Yeah. So Tyler's an interesting character for sure. He's got everybody pretty riled up this week.
I guess no surprise that Lane Kiffin is doing Lane Kiffin things, poking the cage, and does the fan base, do they enjoy this? Because to me, it's like you might have a better team than Alabama finally, and you might have an opportunity to go in there. Why extra motivation? Almost like Colorado State last week against Colorado.
Yeah, the bulk of the fan base enjoys it, and I think Lane keeps doing it because he gets away with it, right? He does the popcorn thing at Alabama a couple of years ago. They get blown out, and a week later it was forgotten. He kind of joked about it, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Lane's great." And I was a little surprised. Here's why. If you go back and look at last season, Ole Miss was 8-1. They were still alive in the SEC West. They had Alabama in Oxford. It's 30-24. Ole Miss has the ball, I think, at the Alabama 16, roughly right, 1st and 10. Late, a touchdown. Assume the kick, and they could have won 31-30 and would have been a different season. They didn't win another game after that. They got blown out at Arkansas. They lost to a very average Mississippi State team, got kind of handled in the Texas Bowl by Texas Tech. And a lot of people around the program said, hey, this was not about Auburn and the Auburn job. This was about they couldn't get over the Alabama loss and all that was put into that game. Ole Miss plays LSU in 9 days, 10 days, whatever it is. I mean, 7 days after Alabama, LSU comes here. Then they got to play Arkansas. Ole Miss and Arkansas has Lane has not dominated that series. Let's put it that way. I kind of thought with all the pro mindset talk and all of that stuff that he would try to at least publicly treat this game like any other game. And that clearly is just not something that either he can do or wants to do.
Yeah. Using a Taylor Swift lyric, he is the anti-hero.
Okay.
Her big song, right? I mean, he loves being that guy.
Yeah. I listened to that one today. I'm planning to use a few lyrics from that.
And Alabama fans would also tell you, we are never, ever, ever getting back together again. Because I think people thinks, at least they think he one day will get the Alabama job.
Oh, I'm sure he thinks that.
So he can go talk to his friends, and you can talk to your friends. But look, we're never getting back together.
And I'll tell you this: Saban is going to be unable to shake it off because he hates Kiffin.
All right, Neal McCready is with us. McCready and Siski.
Dare I say it's karma?
Oh yeah. Disrupt the media. He is with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. It is his Super Bowl, though. I mean, there is no doubt this is a Super Bowl. And I said this earlier, Neal, and I'm not going to do the sports talk thing and say if you gave him the choice to beat Nick Saban or go to the college football playoffs, he chooses to beat Nick Saban. But I would say he's got to think about the answer to that question.
Yeah, he'd pick the playoff, but yeah, he'd think about it. He'd say, can it please involve beating Alabama?
Yes.
He really wants to beat Saban. There's no doubt about that. And look, guys, and I could be wrong here. No one's told me this because Kiffin doesn't really talk to local media. I mean, he talks to national media. I think Lane believes he's going to win this game. I don't think he does all this stuff if he didn't believe he's going to win the game. I think he sees Alabama as vulnerable. I think this game's personal to him. I don't think he means for it to be necessarily, but I think it is, and he wants it bad. There's no question, and I think he thinks this is his best chance. And I don't know. You guys know Alabama better than I do. I'm with. I think it was Jim who said it. I don't know why you poke it. I don't know why you pour any steroid into it. If it were me and I were him, I would just do the whole look. They're the best. They're the dynasty. It's a brutal place to play. We know we're going to have our hands full. We're lucky just to be on the field with them. We'll see what happens. And then I might tell my team something completely different. But that's what I would say publicly. I wouldn't have played the defensive coordinator thing, and I wouldn't do the castle crumbling thing. You're just setting yourself up to, A, motivate the hell out of them, and B, really get yourself mocked if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, you can do all of that after you win the game. Saturday night, you can just have a tweet fest all the way into the early hours.
Thing, Jim. Here's the thing. If they were to beat Alabama, not to interrupt you, but here's where I think this is interesting, and it's the part that if I were an Ole Miss fan, this is what would bother me. If you beat Alabama, what it does in that scenario is it makes the LSU game next week monumental.
Yes.
Because the winner of that game at that point might be in the driver's seat, not only to get to Atlanta, but to be in a playoff. It's a huge game. If you beat Alabama on Saturday, the faster you move on from that to, hey guys, LSU's coming to town. This is massive. The better off you are. You can't allow the Alabama game, win or lose, to linger into next week. That'll get you beat.
Yeah, we talk about Kiffin's motivation. The defensive coordinator in this game, I would imagine, has a little as well, Pete Golding, from his time where he was many times the scapegoat for every Saturday in Tuscaloosa. Talk about Pete Golding. Has he laid low this week? Has Lane mentioned Golding's inspiration and motivation this week?
Lane has not mentioned it. I have asked multiple players. I've gotten the no, it's just like every other week answer, which is almost certainly not true, but come on, it's fine. We don't get to talk to Pete. You have to believe this is a big game to him. I mean, he was there for 5 seasons. He was there for a lot of really good times. And like you said, there were a lot of people that blamed him, whether that was justified or not. You guys would know a lot better than me when they didn't perform well. So I'm sure this is something he wants to prove, and I'm sure it's an opportunity, at least a measure of, kind of vindication if he were to go out there and shut down Jalen Milroe and that offense and send a lot of people unhappy, losing not only to Lane Kiffin, but also to Pete Golding. I'm sure that's motivating to him. I mean, it would be human.
Neil, last year in this matchup, Quinshon Judkins had one of the best running back performances that we've seen against an Alabama defense in the last decade, 135 yards, a couple of touchdowns. But early on, he's scoring touchdowns. He's got 4 through 3 games, but he doesn't have that explosion. And there's rumors out there that he's a little nicked up, a little banged up. What are you hearing about Quinshon?
He got banged up at the end of that Tulane game. It looked like a ribs. They didn't specify what it was. Last week, he didn't really practice. They talked about him being doubtful. Chris Lowe, who obviously is connected to Kiffin, reported on Saturday morning that he was doubtful for the game. He played. I think he had 13 carries, 37 yards. He doesn't look like himself so far this year. Some of that is the way teams are defending him. They're taking away that A gap. He does a lot of damage, center guard. They're taking that away, and some of it is offensive line issues, but he doesn't look as explosive. I don't know whether he's put a little weight on and is adjusting to that, or whether he's banged up, or whether this is just that sophomore thing that sometimes happens to running backs. But look, if they're going to win Saturday, if they're going to beat LSU, if they're going to contend for the things they want to contend for, he's got to eventually get to form. They've really leaned on Jackson Dart's legs so far, and at some point they've got to take some of that load, and Quinshon's got to carry it.
Neal McCready is with us. He is on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Don't forget McCready and Siskey every single week, 3 times a week at Disrupt the Media on YouTube. You get links to all of that in the description of this show that you are watching right now if you're watching us on YouTube. And it's always where you get your podcast as well. Anywhere you get the podcast of this show, you get that one as well. And you can follow him on Twitter at Neal McCready. The thing about the Alabama defensive coordinator may or may not be true, by the way. I'm not saying Lane Kiffin was wrong about what he said. There has been some smoke about that with Travaris Robinson calling the plays. Number one, you and Tyler were talking on your show yesterday about whether or not Lane wanted that question asked, or maybe the question was planted, however you want to characterize it. But also, what do you know about Lane Kiffin's beef with Kevin Steele, or I guess his relationship, if there is one, with Kevin Steele?
Yeah, look, I can't prove the question was planted.
Yeah.
It's kind of little Taylor Swift right here too, if you think about it. I think he did it, but I just can't prove it.
Yeah.
I think he did it, but I just can't prove it.
So you're telling me you've been in news conference rooms where questions have been planted before?
1,000,000%.
Yeah, me too.
And I would bet a lot that this was planted.
Yeah.
What was the second part of your question?
Well, the
Ryan,
second part was,
yeah.
how would you characterize their relationship, if you know at all, between Kiffin and Steele? I mean, was this Was this more about him trying to poke Saban? Has he got a beef with Steele? I mean, it was just an interesting comment.
I don't know either of them enough where either one would ever. I don't know Kevin Steele at all, but
yeah,
I'm told from people who know them both that there's a beef. I don't know what that beef is from, or whether that's just being on the same staff and there being some, turbulence or whatnot. I don't know. I thought the interesting thing about what Lane said about the defensive coordinator thing, regardless of its veracity, was he clearly implied that he was hearing that from inside the building in Tuscaloosa, which what I kind of took it as his way of sending a message that, hey, you guys might have some, issues internally.
I watch Ole Miss when they've beaten Alabama when Hugh was there and some of the recent games, and have always been sort of fearful of the guys on the edges of the offense, the wide receivers. Does this look like a normal, since 2014 Ole Miss receiving core? Are they good enough against Alabama's secondary to loosen up that middle for the run game this weekend?
The question is, are they healthy enough? Trey Harris, who's Louisiana Tech transfer, was terrific against Mercer and then on the first series against Tulane, and then he got hurt and he hasn't played since. I don't know what his status is for Saturday. I think they're going to give it a go, but, is he healthy enough to be effective? Zachary Franklin, who put up massive numbers at UTSA, he's yet to make his Ole Miss debut. He practiced this week in the part of practice that was open to media. I don't know how effective he'll be. Caden Prieskorn, the Memphis transfer tight end, who was terrific in the spring and looked great in fall camp, he's yet to make his debut. I think they expect him to play on Saturday. But, Jim, how effective can those guys be? I have no idea. If they're all healthy and effective, it's a pretty explosive offense. But without those guys, they can get kind of one-dimensional. They had a hard time establishing the passing game against Georgia Tech. They really leaned on Jackson Dart's legs. And at the end of the game, they had a couple of big pass plays that made that final score look a lot more lopsided than it probably really was. That's the big question. Can they get back to being multidimensional? And if they're not, is there enough offense there to score points against what I think is a really good Alabama defense?
All of the SEC in college football is covered on McCready and Siskey. They do a tremendous job with it. Both guys very wired in the college football world. So you can watch that. Coming up tomorrow on tomorrow's show, it is live at 2 o'clock at Disrupt the Media. Kane Womack makes a weekly appearance on that show, the South Alabama head coach, coming off a thrashing of Oklahoma State. So you will not want to miss Kane's visit. He's always really good and talks college football with them. But, I mean, he'll get a little victory lap out of that one, I would imagine.
I think Kane's going to be a hot commodity here pretty quick.
So I've seen his name mentioned at Michigan State. I think Dunaway actually brought it up. He saw it mentioned.
It was in a Bruce Feldman athletic story as a possible candidate for that opening there, down the list a bit.
Yeah, I mean, Kane goes, we all three of us go back a good ways. He and Tyler have been friends for a long time. And I was friends. He was a kind of a grad assistant here at Ole Miss. His dad, Dave, was the defensive coordinator at Ole Miss for a while and one of the best people I've ever covered. And Kane is definitely a chip off the block, and he's a super guy, and he's done a tremendous job at South Alabama. And he's going to have opportunities at big programs soon. But look, he's got a great deal in Mobile. I mean, I don't think he's in any hurry to just run away from there. So it's not going to be, the first Power 5 job or Power 4 job or whatever it is now that offers him, he's going to jump to it. I don't think that's the case. I think he can and probably will be selective.
Yeah, some Group 5 wins over Power 5s were flukes. That was not a fluke. That was
they pounded.
That was a beating is what that was. All right, Neal, thank you very much for the time. Always fun talking with you.
Guys, appreciate it.
All right, buddy. See you soon. Neal with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.
Hey, and as I get ready to tell you about Storm Restoration Roofing, keep in mind in another game involving an SEC team in St. Louis where you have Memphis and Missouri, 6:30 Saturday night on ESPNU. Brady Cook, the quarterback from Missouri, questionable in that game.
Yeah, he and Will Howard both limped around that whole game.
Yeah.
Well, not the whole game, but the whole second half, basically.
Knee swelling into Tuesday's practice, keeping him limited. Sam Horn, who the fans were, booing Brady Cook and warning Sam Horn early in that contest, pissing off Eli Drinkwitz. Cook went on to throw for 356 yards in the upset win over Kansas State. Maybe the biggest out-of-conference win for the SEC so far. Sam Horn will play if Brady Cook cannot in that Memphis-Missouri game, so that may impact how you want to play that game if you're with our friends at MyBookie. No different way to play your roof conditions if you don't know what's happening on your roof. How do you know what's going on up there without a roof inspection? Get a free one from Greg Nelson. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing. He'll get on your roof and give you that free no-cost roof inspection. 205-542-3531. Locally owned for over 20 years. He and his wife manage it. They are A-plus rated with the Better Business Bureaus. They have great relationships with the insurance companies. Again, free no-cost roof inspection or storm repairs or just a new roof when it's time to replace it. Greg does it all. 205-542-3531. 542-3531 or Greg from Pell City on Facebook, Storm Restoration Roofing. One more note to make here as we get ready for this weekend coming up. Jim Harbaugh is back this weekend. We're going in the next segment to rank our top 6 teams. I assume Michigan will be on all 6. Maybe they won't, but Jim Harbaugh comes back. This Michigan team's in a good place, limited on big games on their schedule until they play Penn State, Ohio State.
Look, J.J. McCarthy looked bad last week. He has been fantastic up until last week. He threw 3 picks, very uncharacteristic. I expect him to bounce back. And, yes, Michigan will be on my big board.
Yeah, I got them there, too. I mean, they're playing Rutgers this weekend, so what a time to come back, right, when you get to play Rutgers, who, by the way, is 3-0. I mean,
one of 39 unbeaten FBS teams.
I don't think they're very good, but they're 3-0. But I think everybody, I mean, really, when you start looking at Michigan's schedule, you got to wait till November before they look like they're even going to be challenged.
I've seen an entire Rutgers game and parts of another Rutgers game this year in 3 weeks. I've seen too much Rutgers.
Boy, have you.
All of the Northwestern game on that Sunday and then part of the Virginia Tech win last week. And then there's the big one in prime time, 6:30 on NBC, Ohio State and Notre Dame. And Notre Dame has taken some precautions in this game to keep it from looking like 2017 Georgia. Remember how that looked when Georgia went up to play Notre Dame?
Like it was in Sanford Stadium. Is what
it
looked
like it was in Athens. And I did not know this until I was reading the story at The Athletic this morning. But, you know, like most places, most stadiums are filled with 85% season tickets and students.
Okay.
At Notre Dame, it's only 45% of the stadium is their season ticket holders because their alumni is so spread out. They try to have more single game tickets so the alumni can come from Los Angeles and New York and all over the world to come back to South Bend. What that does is leave it open for the secondary market and for people to buy their way into the stadium. The Georgia weekend in 2017, as the story goes, there were some tickets that were given back to the school. Each school gets 5,000, the visiting team. But some of those other tickets that go to the alumni were given back to the school, and they were put on sale to the general public before the Georgia game, of which, who bought those?
Georgia fans.
Georgia fans.
They were all over that stadium.
Because it was only $175 2 days before the game on the market from the Notre Dame ticket office. They were going for $1,000 a piece on places like, you know, ATIX or StubHub or any of that. So they've changed the policy. Any ticket that is given back will be first offered to Notre Dame season ticket holders and then to Notre Dame alumni groups and will not make it to the open market.
I mean, there is a simple solution to that. The Alumni Association takes over the tickets, and you can only buy a ticket if you're a Notre Dame alum.
That's smart, but if I understand it. I mean, if you're an Ohio State fan, they have played one time in South Bend since World War II. One time.
Yeah.
I mean, as I told you the other day, these two teams have only played 7 times. It's incredible that they don't play more than they do.
And great fan base. They travel, you know, even meaningless bowl games. I remember in the 90s going to, you know, random Florida Bowl, and they would have, you know, 20,000 fans there.
But even Lance has told me that South Bend's the stadium is a dump.
It is.
Notre Dame Stadium. But I still
tailgate was no good.
I'd still love to go to a game there, a big game there. And if you're an Ohio State fan, you get to see your team in a big game there. I mean, I'm sure they will buy they could probably sell that stadium out themselves, just Ohio State fans.
Easily.
Yeah, the way they travel.
Not a bad drive from where they're driving, even if you live in the Columbus area. So keep an eye just how many Ohio State fans get in. And it has taken Notre Dame, proud Notre Dame, AD sending emails to the season ticket holders and to the alumni, don't sell your tickets. Don't sell your tickets. If you do, make sure it's getting.
They'll buy them.
Make sure you're getting to Notre Dame people. I know it's tempting to get the money, but try not to sell your tickets. Our boys need you this weekend. See how many Ohio State fans are in the building. They get 5,000 tickets, We'll see how many more make up the crowd on Saturday night. Show being brought to you by our friends at NASCAR. I'll tell you about NASCAR in a second. When we come back, we will give you the playoffs. The playoffs, or at least by what we've seen on the field so far. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com for those NASCAR tickets. We've been telling you about this all month long. Want to get you there for that October 1st Yellowwood 500. If you've never been to a race, a great place to go. Just people watch. If you're not into NASCAR racing, it's worth going for the Hardy concert on Saturday night and to people watch. 100,000 people on a race Sunday is fantastic. Yellowwood 500 October 1st. Get your tickets. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Follow Scott Forrester on Twitter at ScottForresterTV.
If you're looking for a fun golf atmosphere that is laid back with a peaceful environment, the Meadows Golf Course in Harpersville, right off of Highway 280, is perfect for you. Just a short drive from Birmingham, this 18-hole, 200-acre track with rolling fairways and ample greens is the definition of peacefulness of the country just miles from the city. Enjoy a great lunch before your round and a cocktail on the wraparound porch after 18. Come see us today. The Meadows Golf Course in Harpersville, right off of Highway 280.
As summer bids adieu, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of pests, it's fall invader season. Hold on tight, because we got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight: box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your fall. Take charge today.
The Double Down Media podcast family is live and full of content for all ages. The Mystery Fifth Hour gives the Next Round hosts a chance to talk about everything but sports. Pour a glass of Bama and bourbon, our weekly college football conversation, while sipping some of the most interesting pours in the bourbon world. And our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, presented by Redmont Vodka. LT has in-depth conversations with personalities like Clay Travis and Taylor Hicks. Find those podcasts and more by searching The Next Round on Apple and Spotify. And remember to like and subscribe.
The Next Round is brought to you in part by the biggest, baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Superspeedway. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and always puts on a great show for the fans. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming and you do not want to miss it. Saturday, September 30th is the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, followed by Sunday's Yellowwood 500 in the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs. Be there to see drivers battle 500 miles to survive. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. The Next Round Golf Court is here. Your chance to play 4 area golf courses for just $89. Get 18 holes of golf and cart at Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the newly renovated Woodward Golf Club. That's a value of $247 for just $89. Or get the Next Round Deluxe Golf Cart for just $119. It gets you all 4 courses with cart, plus an exclusive Next Round Golf t-shirt, koozie, golf tees, and a sticker. There are no restrictions. The cart is good through September 2024. Get your golf cart now at nextround.store.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations: Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
We talked about how good Clemson's been at home. Alabama used to be really good at home until they lost at Texas. That's just one loss. We'll see if they can get that Bryant-Denny mystique back against Ole Miss this weekend. Utah is riding a 16-game home win streak there in Salt Lake City as they get a big one this weekend.
Yeah, 3rd longest home win streak right now in college football. That's a tough place to play.
Well, it gets labeled as that, and it certainly seems to live up to its reputation, though it might be smaller than some stadiums.
Yeah,
teams generally don't go in there and win.
Excited doing Unlocked with Brock today, and he's going to be on that game. And that's one of those, I don't want to say it's an under-the-radar game. It's a ranked game, UCLA, Utah. But that's
a good week in the Pac-12.
Yeah, it's the beginning of the cannibalization that will be the Pac-12.
Because Oregon State, Washington State will fly way under the radar. That's another good game. The way Cam Ward is playing, and DJ kind of showed back up. The old DJ, the Clemson DJ, showed back up this past weekend.
The great Buddy Tevens passed away yesterday at the age of 66. Longtime Dartmouth coach, 5 Ivy League championships, one-time Florida assistant. Known mostly for the way he has changed the practice of tackle football. He is the one that, with a lot of studies there at Dartmouth and other head injury places, started implementing no-contact practices in his spread everywhere. And even Roger Goodell says Buddy Tevens impacted all levels of football by what he did for the hiring of women in football, but also his practices and the way he sort of attacked it over his coaching career.
Yeah, and a guy that has been in the game forever. Second stint at his alma mater, Dartmouth. Didn't have a lot of success at Tulane and Stanford, but had success at Dartmouth. And really a sad story, hit by riding his bike, hit by a truck this past March, lost his leg.
Spinal cord injury.
Yeah, the after effects from that took his life. And that's one of those things, man, when I don't run like I used to, but when I used to run, I would never run without sidewalks. And I know bikers really don't have a lot of options, but you just can't trust today's drivers. I mean, people text.
Yeah, it's my daughter and a bunch of her friends ride bikes in our neighborhood. And, I used to do it, not think twice. My parents, I guess, didn't either. But, I mean, it's so dangerous now because people just don't pay attention when they're driving.
But I agree with you. There are some places that the bikes or the runners, like on 119 sometimes, there's not even a place for them to step off. Yeah. There's no shoulder. It's just ditches. And it scares me. And when my kids started to drive early on, that was what I was most fearful of because we lived on 119 at the time. And my fear was the runners or the bikers on that road. Because I almost hit the SEC commissioner one time.
That's right.
And I was an adult, so I was fearful of that with my kids. Still am today.
Yeah, 2008, most controversial moment ever on the original roundtable with me and Ian. Something I said regarding cyclists. It was in jest. It blew up, so I'm going to refrain. I've got multiple really good friends that cycle consistently, and, I think you've just got to have a lot of balls to do it because – I don't trust drivers.
Yeah, some of the roads around here are really, really dangerous. All right, let's get to our 4 downs today. It is brought to you, LT, by our great friends at Slice. I've got 3 of these, and LT's got our celebrity birthday here. And it's brought to you by Slice.
4 great locations. Make sure you stop in, see the Bajaya Brothers, the original in Lakeview, one of Vestavia, Montevallo, Crestline Park, local pizza, local ingredients. Great place to go get a slice and a salad for lunch. SliceBirmingham.com.
First down.
They were talking about this on the NFL Network the other day. At one point, it was a given. Bill Belichick was going to be the winningest coach of all time in the NFL. It was just trending that way. It was going to happen quickly. He's at 298 wins right now, 71 years of age, 0-2 right now. Don Shula is the most all time, 328 wins. George Halas, 318 wins. Belichick is third. You do the math now, he's 30 wins away. Got to win 10 for 3 years to get that.
Do it, yeah.
Do you think Bill Belichick ends up being the winningest coach in NFL history?
I really don't. I watched that team very closely Sunday night. They've got a lot of losses coming their way. I know they came back and made that a very tight game. In fact, it came down to a controversial mark spot on a 4th down, or they've got a shot at maybe forcing overtime or winning on a 2-point conversion. That team has no weapons for Mac Jones to throw to. I think Mac is a middle-tier quarterback in the NFL, but he's got nobody to throw to. And they got a good running back in DeMondre Stevenson, but they can't ever run the ball because they're behind all the time, Lance. So I think they're going to lose a lot of games, and they're already starting to call for his job in New England. I saw today one of the main sports radio shows up there on the Hub, the Sports Hub. They're calling for Bill Belichick's job. They were saying he got cushion last year because of his history, but last year should have been fireable, but it was Bill Belichick. Now it's another year of it.
That still shocks me. I know it's a business, and he is very involved in personnel decisions. So when you look at that roster, a lot of that's on Bill Belichick. With that said, both of these losses, getting behind double digits, they came back and they had opportunities to win both games against really good teams. Yeah, in Philadelphia and your Dolphins. I think he gets 6 or 7 wins this year. I think he'll chase it, whether or not his health and the patience from the fan base holds up. But I'll lean that he makes a good run at this.
If he does, I don't think he'll be as the Patriots coach. I think it'll be at another job.
Halas, 73 years old when he retired, 2 years older than Belichick. Don Shula retired at 66.
Yeah.
One of the highlights of my career, long putt that Don Shula made in the Pro-Am out at Greystone. I was playing in that foursome, and he drained a long birdie putt, and I happened to be the closest guy to him, and he fist bumped me.
Yeah.
I got fist bumped by the NFL's winningest coach.
Have you watched it?
Yeah, many times.
You know who's got a good Don Shula story, and I won't ruin it, is Chris Stewart, voice of the Crimson Tide. A fantastic Don Shula story. You need to get him to tell you one time.
Next time Chris is
next
on.
time he's on, we'll get him to tell it.
Let's do second down.
Second down.
With that being said, New England is one of 9 0-2 teams right now. How many of these teams make the playoffs? Texans, Cardinals, Bears, Panthers, Patriots, Vikings, Bengals, Broncos, Chargers, all 0-2.
Bengals and Chargers.
I'm just going to go with the Bengals. I think Brandon Staley's going to get fired this year.
So you say of those 9, only the Bengals.
It is so puzzling what they do, isn't it? I mean, everybody tells me Justin Herbert could be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and every single year they do this, Lance. Every year.
Yep, and some of that's got to be on Staley. Some of that's got to be on Justin Herbert, though, because he's got weapons. I don't, it's going to be interesting. Will Burrow play this week? If he plays, is he going to be effective? If the Rams win this game and they drop to 0-3, when you look at their division, I know it helps now that Nick Chubb's not there. That offensive line, for the Steelers is bad. But I'll stick with Cincinnati. That'll be the only one.
Have you seen I wish I had the stat, and I may be able to find it at some point, but the number of blown second-half leads Justin Herbert has quarterbacked in? I mean, it's like they are starting to stack up because it's almost every single week now they get a second-half lead, and they can't close the deal.
Yeah.
And like Lance said, some of that's on Herbert, some of that's on Staley.
Including the playoffs last year against the Jaguars.
That was the worst of them.
Third down.
Last night, Toronto pitcher Yusei Kikuchi. I got that right, by the way. You can laugh.
You know that?
Yusei Kikuchi left the game with cramps. Happens all the time, right? Afterwards, through a translator, he says that the reason why he didn't get enough sleep. He only slept for 11 hours.
Are you serious?
He normally sleeps 13 to 14 hours a night. His normal sleep pattern is 11 p.m. to 1 p.m.
I'm telling you, on a football weekend, I don't get 11 hours Saturday night, Sunday night combined.
Yeah, probably not. I don't know if I've ever had 11 hours.
What is the perfect night's sleep for you guys?
If I can get to 7, I'm good.
7 is my number 2.
I want 8.
I don't want 8.
Accept 7.
8, I feel 8 and 9. I feel groggy.
I'd love to be able to get 8 or 9. If I could just get 7 consistent hours of sleep, I'd be okay with it. But I just don't.
Do you do the math? Like when you wake up and you look at the clock, you're like, okay, I've got 6 hours here. I guess I can go ahead and get up. Do you do that?
6 hours and get up? No, I don't do it that long. But
no.
If I gotten 6 hours of
if you've
sleep,
gotten
okay.
6, yeah. Or
I thought you were saying 6 hours before my alarm.
Or do I want to fight it and go back to sleep?
No. It depends on how I feel. Like sometimes I'll get up early and just go on and come on in if I'm behind in show notes. But sometimes I will look at. I'll have to get up and go to the bathroom, and it's 5:10, and I got my alarm set for 6, and I'll come back, and I will fight to get that last 40 minutes. Or I'm a snoozer. If I need it, I'll hit that snooze and try to get 8 more minutes out of it. So I like 7, though. 7 is ideal for me.
Fourth down.
George R.R. Martin is 76 today.
Don't know who that is.
That is the creator of Game of Thrones and all the prequels and sequels. But if I asked you, better career, him or John Grisham?
Oh, John Grisham.
Oh. I've read.
I mean, this old boy only wrote one thing, right?
It's pretty popular.
Yeah, but you're saying Grisham's aren't.
But there aren't people scalding Grisham to finish a novel.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Is that a plus or a minus there?
I'd be interested to
how
see
popular he is.
worldwide copies. Now, Grisham's got a ton of them, so it probably is more. But the Game of Thrones, I mean, the worldwide love for Game of Thrones.
I have started and finished.
It's so much more creative than John Grisham.
Yeah.
I have started and finished 3 books in my life.
2 of them are Jimmy Buffett, right?
2 of them are Jimmy Buffett and one's John Grisham. Like even books I was supposed to read in school, I cliff noted it up, and you can tell with my intelligence. And I've never made it all the way through the Bible either. I make the mistake of starting in Genesis, and it's hard. I should do New Testament and then go back.
Well, I've given people the advice, if you want to read the Bible cover to cover, it's best to mix in a little New Testament every day because Leviticus and Deuteronomy and Numbers are where Bible reading plans go to die.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I've done it a couple times, and the first time I did it, I just read it straight through, and boy,
yes,
about March when you're in those books, you're like, whew, is this ever going to end?
Takes a lot of faith.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, I love Game of Thrones. I'm going to go Grisham here because I like all the spinoff movies.
I'm trying to find books sold
I
here.
like The Firm. I thought The Firm was a good movie. I thought Pelican Brief
That was a good flick.
was solid.
Time to Kill.
Yeah.
Time to Kill was
that's a good
solid. The
movie.
Client
Yeah.
was solid. But none of it matches what Game of Thrones put on screen.
No, that was good. That was good. That was good.
I mean, again, we're watching it. I'm watching it for the third time right now.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Are you really? I'm going to go back and watch a
'Cause
second time at
Jack's
some point.
never seen it, so.
I've got second run-throughs of Sopranos and Game of Thrones. Still
Now,
coming in my
the
life.
episode yesterday afternoon we watched was Ramsey and Sansa's honeymoon night.
So they estimate
not a good night.
based on sales. They estimate where each author will end up. Grisham is at 250 million books sold. I got to find you your boy,
J.R.R. Martin. He's a picture of health.
Well, he's not on the list.
Can't believe the dude made it to 76. That was the fear like 3 or 4 years ago. Game of Thrones fans were like, this guy ain't going to make it down the stretch.
But he's not on the list, so he doesn't even qualify. And sold enough to get on the list.
Not even on the
That's hard to believe.
Yeah,
Where does the list end for you?
Yeah, I gotta organize it a different way here.
You telling me you're not used to pulling authors and
yeah, I really am not. 40 million. Clive Klessler.
Oh, he's got more than 40 million.
Hell, I don't know, man. You argue with this list, Lance. Yeah. You know who all-time number one is? Well, who'd you guess number one?
Dr. Seuss.
He's up there.
J.K. Rowling.
His max estimated sales, William Shakespeare, 4 billion.
Oh, Willie.
He's still rolling them out, isn't he?
I wonder who gets that money.
Probably some.
Hey, sadly, Danielle Steele is fourth. I know Rockstar celebrates it. Yes,
She's
she
an
is.
airport lady. That's the first thing. I'm getting Martin sold over 90 million copies.
Yeah, he's not close to Grisham. Now, Grisham's written a lot more books.
Yeah. So there you go. That's our 4 downs today, brought to you by Slice. Also, the show being brought to you by the great folks at Maestro Dobel Diamante Tequila. We're about to look at our current top 6 here in this segment before we take a break, and our crystal clear projection of where the playoffs would be if it started right now by performance on the field is brought to you by Maestro Dobel Diamante Tequila. Their goal is to bring you really a smooth, balanced tequila created using 100% natural ingredients and processes. That includes those Balkan region, Eastern European barrels. That's right, it's aged in a barrel. Gives you that crystal clear tequila. It is perfect. Maestro Dobel Diamante Tequila, proud sponsor of the next round. Here is my top 6. What are you laughing at?
Fritz Law in the chat room. He did the old Matt Foley. Hey, Dad, I don't have my glasses. Is that old Billy Shakespeare over there? Remember when David Spade said he wanted to be a writer? I don't have my glasses. Is that old Billy Shakespeare over there? Such a good line.
My top 6, Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, Texas, USC, Ohio State. Pretty much chalky compared to where the AP poll is right now. I thought Georgia's went over South Carolina where they came back in the second half was good. I still believe in Michigan, Florida State, and Texas with 2 great wins. I was very close to putting LSU right back into this conversation as well. I think LSU is that
Mississippi
good.
State, gotcha. Huh?
USC, Ohio State there. Those are my 6. What about you, Lance?
I'm going to go Brown's method. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to go Washington, number 1.
Yep.
I think they have been completely dominant. Michigan, number 2, although they did not look good last week. I just think that was a one-off as they get ready for Big Ten play. Texas didn't look good until the fourth quarter last week, but they do have the big win over Bama. Florida State, the same, big win over LSU. They struggled against BC. USC has been steady Eddie. They haven't played anybody yet, though. And then I've got Georgia. They still got to show up because they are still winning games.
Yeah. My top 6, I color-coded it as best I could. I got Texas, number 1. Always put it on the wrong side for Scott there. My bad, Scott. Texas, number 1. Washington, number 2. Florida State, number 3. Michigan, number 4. Georgia and USC just on the outside looking in. Again, this based on what I've seen on the field this year, not reputation.
Don't worry about putting it on the wrong side for Scott. Worry about putting it on the wrong side for our friends at Coca-Cola. They need it on that side right there, our friends at Coca-Cola, right behind you there. Great sponsor of the next round. Those are our 6, the way it sits right now. We'd love to see yours as well in the Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat room. Don't forget, we're at the Grocery Brew Pub coming up tomorrow night with Bud Light Game Night. When we come back, we continue the conversation with Elijah McAllister, part of our NIL deal from Auburn, next on TNR.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about our friends at Gutter Cap. Gutter Cap's that patented aluminum cover system that fits over most existing gutters to keep out debris and eliminate that gutter cleaning. It's backed with a lifetime warranty, almost 20-year service record right here in Birmingham. Stay off that dangerous ladder forever. 45% off the retail price now if you call guttercapbirmingham.com. Call my good friend Chris Stewart now, 205-823-2212. Cap it, don't snap it. It's Gutter Cap.
The Next Round Golf Cart is here. Your chance to play 4 area golf courses for just $89. Get 18 holes in Cart at Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the newly renovated Woodward Golf Club. A $247 value for just $89. Get your golf cart now at nextround.store.
As summer starts to fade, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of pest, it's fall invader season. Hold on tight because we've got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight. Box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and let's show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your party. Take charge today. IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, and compression therapy all under one roof. It's our friends at Hydra Live Therapy. IV therapy treatments are packed with nutrients to increase energy, reduce stress and anxiety, and boost your immune system, and more. If you mention the Next Round at checkout, save 20% off any service. You can join the IV League today. Members are rewarded with deep discounts. Make sure you ask about that. Hydra Life Therapy open 7 days a week. Homewood, Tuscaloosa, and coming soon to Greystone.
DryTech Water Restoration is a locally owned company that specializes in mold remediation, fire and water damage cleanup, and SteraMist services. DryTech's goal is to provide clients with expert guidance when dealing with any home disaster. DryTech's highly trained specialists are available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They will work closely with you and your insurance company to make sure the process is stress-free as possible. Call DryTech today, 205-637-0143. The moment you discover damage to your home, DryTech's team will handle the rest.
Hey, if you're looking for Birmingham's best pizza, you need to stop in and see our friends at Slice Pizza and Brew. It's as local as you can get, from the ingredients that go into every pizza to the beer on tap. For a great lunch or dinner, go see our friends today, Vestavia or Lakeview at Slice.
The Double Down Media podcast family is live and full of content for all ages. The Mystery Fifth Hour gives the Next Round host a chance to talk about everything but sports. Pour a glass of Bama and bourbon, our weekly college football conversation while sipping some of the most interesting pours in the bourbon world. And our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call. LT takes off the gloves for an in-depth conversation with stars like Taylor Hicks, presented by Redmond Vodka. Find those podcasts and more by searching The Next Round on Apple, Spotify, and on our website, nextroundlive.com.
All right, about to talk a little Auburn football right here, brought to you by our friends, Brownie, at Craneworks.
That is right. Elijah McAllister joins us every single week, courtesy of Craneworks, the big guy for Auburn. Says, look for the big dog when it comes time for Craneworks and Rental Works. He's on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Welcome in, Elijah. How are you today?
Great. How y'all doing?
Man, we're doing fantastic. I thought, now some people will scoff at it because Sanford is not a name brand, but obviously they're here in our city, and we've watched Chris Hatcher in that offense. It's a really good offense. I don't care if it's FCS, FBS, or whatever. That's a good offense that a lot of people have had a tough time stopping. I thought it was an exceptional defensive performance by your crew Saturday.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, everybody knew going in that the quarterback is pretty good, and they have a nice scheme going about them as far as their offensive side of the ball. And we knew, like I talked to you about previously, we knew we had to build as a defense from the Cal win and continue to build and stack up good performances to our standard, and that's what we did this coming week.
If you're going to play quarterback for Hugh Freeze, you got to be able to run the football. Did you have any idea Peyton Thorne could run it like that, though?
I've heard stories about him at Michigan State breaking off a long run here or there, but I never really knew that he had wheels like that. I mean, he was making some cuts, diving at the pylon. He looked pretty good, and I was excited to see him go out there and throw with efficiency and also run well as well.
I've circled the front seven of Auburn versus that offensive line of Texas A&M as the biggest matchup in this game this week. When you watch them on tape, what impresses you about the Aggies offense and the challenge you guys have coming up this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like this league is all about, up front, offensive, defensive line. So we're just excited for this matchup, this challenge to continue to elevate ourselves as a defense against a formidable opponent in the SEC. Obviously, this offense, they score points, they're efficient, they do well on third down. It's just, a pretty good offense. So we're excited to continue to showcase our stuff because we're a pretty good defense, we feel like, and we just got to put it on tape this week.
Have you watched any last season, before I ask this question, any last season film of them, or has it all been this year?
It's all been this year.
Yeah.
I've just knowing Auburn and, the guys talking about the game last year, I kind of took a look at the tape a little bit, just watching from a fan perspective, not so much from an analytical perspective.
Yeah, the reason I ask, Elijah, is because obviously Bob Petrino is now the offensive coordinator there, and I was just curious if you could see from year to year how much that offense has changed with him calling plays versus Jimbo Fisher calling plays.
Yeah, I don't really know because, like I said, I didn't really look at it from a analytical perspective when I was watching the game from last year. I kind of just heard about the game last year and the guys who played in it, and I was just kind of watching just to get a feel for, the vibe pretty much and how it was.
Hey, when you watch film on Miami, and that was a game A&M was up 17-7, and obviously a tough place to play there at Hard Rock. But when I was watching the game, it looked like Miami was actually the faster team. I don't know if that jumped out to you on film because normally SEC speed, outclasses all other speed, but it looked like Miami was a faster team.
Yeah, Miami looked really good on both sides of the ball and all phases. Just watching their tape, obviously they ended up getting a win, and it was nice to continue to just cut up film and kind of learn from what they did well in that game and what they didn't do well, so that we can kind of take it into this week in a way. But yeah, they looked athletic, they looked fast. I got a couple homeboys that play on that team, so I knew that they're an athletic team, and they usually get high level recruits as well. So
it doesn't feel like Jarquez Hunter has really shaken the rust off yet, not back to his usual self. As a veteran, as a captain of this team, I know he's on the offensive side of the ball, but have any of you guys been offering him encouragement, hang in there? Tell me about how that works inside the locker room when a guy's skill set is up here, but maybe the production level's not hitting that yet.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head as a leader and as a captain. You kind of accept this role to continue to, do everything you can in your power to elevate the guys around you, whether that's offense, defense, special teams. And everybody knows in this locker room what each individual guy is capable of. And anytime you feel as if they're not playing to that standard or that level, then you want to be able to do everything you can to help elevate them, whether that's having a conversation in the locker room one-on-one, whether that's talking amongst coaches with the coach and trying to figure out what's best fit. And, everybody on this team is still searching for that higher level performance, because I don't think we even reached our higher standard on any side of the ball from anybody. So.
You guys are one of only 39 teams left in the FBS after 3 weeks that are unbeaten. Where's the confidence level of this team as you jump into SEC play? It's got to be better now than, say, before the first game, right?
Yeah, I mean, wins are hard to come by no matter how you look at it and who you play and whatnot. I mean, it's football. Any given Sunday, any given Saturday, you know what the term is. It's hard to come by wins, and we're 3-0. We're excited about that, but we also know our goal every week is go 1-0. So 3-0, we're here, but that's in the past, and we're looking forward to this week going 1-0, and then we'll go from there.
Elijah McAllister with us each week, courtesy of Craneworks. The big guy says check out the big dog for Craneworks and RentalWorks. He's on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. If I am not mistaken, you were not part of the 2020 Vanderbilt trip to Texas A&M, so I don't believe you've played in this stadium. What have you heard about? It gets labeled as a difficult place to play. Most SEC places are. What have you heard about playing in this stadium?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it's a wild place. Obviously, they sell out, and they have a good culture, football culture there, where fans really enjoy being there, and they love their football. And it's SEC, so you know how that's going to be, and it's the first SEC game for them at home, I'm pretty sure. So that'll be fun. I actually was on a trip. I wasn't playing. I was hurt, but I was on a trip, but it was COVID, so I didn't really get a feel for everything. So the small sample size of fans that were there, I still felt like they loved their football and they were passionate about it. So I'm excited to kind of get in that stadium where it's full go and full tilt, and I'm sure it'll be just like all the great SEC stadiums.
It's a beautiful stadium, though, isn't it?
It's amazing. It's beautiful, actually. Okay.
I know your focus is on Auburn, but did you get an opportunity to watch your former teammates last week? That was a wild fourth quarter. 30 points scored back and forth. not great brands with UNLV and necessarily Vanderbilt, but that was a wild fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, those are my friends and my best friends, some of my friends that I'll be with for the rest of my life. So anytime I can catch a game, I will. So as soon as we got off the field in Sanford and I got a shower and got home, I think it was a little bit of time left in the fourth quarter, so I was able to watch some, at least the end of it. And it was a crazy game. I'm kind of more so watching so that, I can see my friends do well and play the game they love. I don't really watch as a fan anymore, but I still have some love for that program, obviously, because I played there for so long. So obviously it was a tough loss, but it was a fun game to watch.
Blue Jays pitcher Yusei Kikuchi left the game last night with cramps. He said it was because he didn't get his full allotment of sleep. He only slept 11 hours instead of his normal 13 to 14 hours that he sleeps before a game. 11 p.m. to 1 p.m. is his normal sleep. What is normal sleep for you? What's a normal sleep night for you?
11 hours is a little too overboard. I feel like I'll be really sluggish after those 11 hours because I've slept all day, it may seem. I'll probably sleep for anywhere between 6.5 to 8 hours consistently. 11 hours is a little too much for me, honestly. I'll feel sluggish, but about 6.5 to 8 hours.
Is it hard to sleep before a game?
Not because of nerves, because of excitement. I just get super excited about playing and just being out there and doing what I love, and my family getting to see me play and playing for the best fans in the country. That's kind of why I get excited. So I would say it's a little harder to sleep on a Friday night just because I'm excited to go play something that I love in front of the best fans.
Now, Texas is big barbecue beef. You've lived in Nashville and Auburn. We're big barbecue pork here. If you have had both, which one do you like better?
I like both. My dad's a big barbecue beef guy, so I'm with him. He likes barbecue beef, so I guess I'll take a liking to that more because I usually eat it with him. So,
yeah, I do like a beef rib. I mean, you don't get it a lot around here, but I do like a beef rib.
You do not. It's more Texas. I'm a pork guy though. I like that. I like that burnt pork there, man.
I like them both.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna throw either one away, Elijah. But I think
we're not throwing either one away.
No. I mean, you slide a plate of either one of them in front of me, it's going down. There ain't no doubt. But if I had to pick, I'm gonna go pork.
100%.
Okay. All right, he is Elijah McAllister, presented each week by Craneworks and RentalWorks. The big guy says, look for the big dog, Craneworks and RentalWorks. Good luck at College Station, Elijah. We greatly appreciate the time, as always.
Thank you very much for having me, as always.
All right, buddy. Take care. See you next week. Elijah with us each week, courtesy of Craneworks. Like all of our guests, he appears on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, and always online, JohnstonRVCenter.com. Cherokee is the #1 RV brand in all of America and in all of Alabama, and the #1 dealer is Johnston RV Center. You can see why when you visit them, 304, 334 off I-65 in Decatur and Coleman. And also, don't forget that discount for any active duty or retired military personnel. They thank you, like we do on this show, for making America the greatest nation in the universe. No questions asked. You've done your part there. They say small thank you by a great discount. Prices starting as low as $199 a month for Cherokee there at Johnston RV Center. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, and always online, JohnstonRVCenter.com.
And one more thing before we get to the top of the hour, I want to ask you about a former Auburn road game. But tell us about Bromberg's too, LT. We got a gift for any occasion at Bromberg's, and the holidays coming up.
Holidays coming up. Great selection of fine watches, fine jewelry out there. Of course, they're your diamond specialists. A lot of people like to pop the question during the holidays. If you're doing that, again, diamond specialist, nothing like giving or getting that silver box from our friends at Bromberg's. 2 locations, Mountain Brook and the Summit. You can also shop online. Go to Brombergs.com.
A Bleacher Report ranks the top 15 whiteouts all time. Penn State this weekend.
They've had 15 of them.
15 of them. I think it was 15 they listed. Penn State, Iowa in Happy Valley, primetime CBS. Gary and Nestler will be at that game.
Yep.
It's a whiteout against Iowa this week. Auburn's trip up there a few years ago ranks 9th all time of their great whiteout games. Day game, but whiteout, Alabama ranks 10th all time.
That was a beatdown.
As atmosphere. The 9th one gets a great credit, they said, because it was the return to being normal. It was the first full stadium after the pandemic, so it had a little extra juice
Auburn
in
game?
the stadium.
Yeah, that was a good game too. I mean, that was a tight game. Auburn kind of got hosed a little bit down on the goal line there. But that's a good game.
Number 4 on the list, 2007 Notre Dame. It was the first ever full whiteout inside the stadium. They had done it before that with the students, but this was the first time full stadium. Number 3 was 2013 Michigan. That was a 4 overtime win for Penn State. 2005 Ohio State is number 2 all time. That was a student whiteout, the first time they ever did the students in a whiteout. And then number 1 all time, I bet you guys can guess.
Well, it's got to be the blocked field goal against Ohio State, which was 2016.
That's exactly right. 2016, the blocked field goal that led to Penn State winning the Big Ten.
Missing the playoffs.
But not going to the
That's
playoffs.
right.
Ohio State still made it to the playoffs. Great whiteouts. I feel like they wasted it on the Iowa game this year.
I guess because
I thought they wasted it on Auburn a couple of years ago.
I mean, it's primetime CBS, so they don't always do it at night, as your list established there.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know. You got Michigan coming in on November 11th. That's going to be Michigan's first real test.
I think I'd have used it there. But that's just
to me, that's where I would use it, either Ohio State, Michigan, when they're coming to Happy Valley.
But, we learned they try not to do those Big Ten night games in November. So they may I know they do some day games, but they may want to try to do it for a night game.
Yeah, that's probably a 2:30.
Yeah. Or a big noon kickoff. Could be the Fox Big Noon kickoff.
Yeah. By the way, big noon kickoff next week is USC Colorado.
That's right.
10
a.m. local time.
10 a.m. Mountain Time. There in Boulder.
Which is when they kicked the Nebraska game, and the atmosphere was just fine for that. People are making a big deal about it. I'm like, they've already done it once this year.
Yeah. But, see, I would rather play, if I'm a college student, I would rather play at the 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock kicks that you get sometimes. I think Alabama has one coming up next week as well.
At State.
State is 8 o'clock kick.
Yeah.
If you're a college spectator, not a player, right?
No, if I was a college player, I'd rather play 8 at night than I would at 10 in the morning. My body clock is a lot later as a college student than it is in the morning.
Well, that's a 9 a.m. USC body clock game, by the way.
But I would assume most college kids want to play at 2:30. Just for the simple fact that you get done, you can go to dinner with your parents, family, friends, and then you can go out.
Yeah. Always about going out with you, man.
Not me, college kids.
College kids. All right, top of the hour here. One more hour to go live. Maybe a special guest in studio. LT has trash for us. The show brought to you by our friends at Moore's Marinade. It was a big Moore's weekend right here on the show. Everybody had some.
Yeah, Little T using it on some ribs. You can use Moore's on a lot of things, not just the marinade. The marinade is fantastic, of course, but don't forget that buffalo wing sauce. It gives a perfectly tangy flavor that keeps you licking your fingers even after the wings are gone. You could dip it, you could drizzle, you could slather Moore's buffalo wing sauce on everything you eat, from pizza to pasta, tacos, fries, and more. See why grill masters prefer Moore's marinades and wing sauces. Go online, mooresmarinades.com. Get great recipe ideas there, some grilling inspiration. You be the hero of this college and NFL weekend grilling with Moore's Marinade. Mooresmarinades.com. That is mooresmarinades.com.
Follow The Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
You want to look great while supporting your favorite show? You know the place to go is the official Next Round store at nextround.store. Yes, there are .store domains, and we have one. From shirts to hoodies to hats and all kinds of fun stuff, you can rep the Next Round anywhere you go. At the beach, Next Round hats to block out that sun. Up north in the winter, get you a comfy Next Round hoodie. Just need something to put your $20 beer in at a game? Get you a Next Round koozie and throw that thing in your pocket. You never know what stuff Jim's going to make me put in there next. Check it out. It's the Next Round store at nextround.store.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about our friends at Gutter Cap. Gutter Cap's that patented aluminum cover system that fits over most existing gutters to keep out debris and eliminate that gutter cleaning. It's backed with a lifetime warranty, almost 20-year service record right here in Birmingham. Stay off that dangerous ladder forever. 45% off the retail price now if you call guttercapbirmingham.com. Call my good friend Chris Stewart now, 205-823-2212. Cap it, don't snap it. It's Gutter Cap. The next round brought to you by the biggest and baddest track in NASCAR, the Talladega Superspeedway. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming up. You don't want to miss it. The action kicks off Saturday, September 30th with the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, all leading up to the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs on Sunday, October the 1st. Be there to see these drivers battle for 500 miles to survive and advance to the next round of the playoffs. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Again, that is TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
It's time to get out and enjoy the summer of 2023. Ocean City, Maryland, and your hotel family at Residence Inn by Marriott Ocean City is ready to welcome you. Kayak from our Bayside Beach, swim in the Atlantic, dine at our Bayview Bar and Grill, span the 2.5-mile-long Ocean City Boardwalk, and a lot more. See all this plus irresistible summer deals and packages online at residenceInOC.com. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Do something different this summer. Residence Inn by Marriott Ocean City, Maryland.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
All right, final hour of the show as we get going here. Always brought to you by the great folks at Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken, champyschicken.com, Highway 119 in Alabaster. There's Sterling with that good-looking guy right there, Jim Dunaway beside him at Champy's Chicken in Alabaster. Mississippi Delta recipe tamales, Southern fried chickens, great sides, and, of course, the hand-cut chicken finger. All that is great for tailgates this year or to watch the big games. Get a big platter of stuff, take it home, take it to the tailgate, and enjoy Champy's world-famous fried chicken right there on Highway 119 in Alabaster, champyschicken.com. If some of the outcomes go the right way, Week 5 will have some interesting matchups as well. If USC and Colorado both survive, big noon kickoff, we mentioned that. Utah and Oregon State scheduled next week. They both have challenging games this week in the Pac-12. You're going to get that in the Pac-12 every week
now. Oregon State's biggest concern is DJ, like I said, reverted to the DJ that has him quarterbacking Oregon State, and not Clemson right now. There's a reason he's out of Clemson. He had made you forget that the first 2 weeks. He made you remember it week 3, the way he played against San Diego State. Not a good outing.
We mentioned it with Neal McCready earlier, wherever you get your podcast, and McCready and Siskey 3 days a week on Disrupt the Media, our YouTube channel. Go and subscribe. If Ole Miss survives Tuscaloosa, LSU and Ole Miss next week could be for the West.
I mean, it could be.
It could be, yes.
Yeah, let's not shut the door on A&M. Let's see what they're able to do against Auburn. And Auburn is undefeated right now, so there are maybe a couple of optimistic Auburn fans out there. I don't know. This is a big week in college football for a ton of teams.
If Notre Dame beats Ohio State, Brown, I give you no credit usually, but I think it was June 13th. You said trap game, Notre Dame at Duke.
Yeah.
What a big game that would be if Notre Dame beats Ohio State. They have to go into tricky, sleepy Durham, North Carolina.
And I think that's when Lance said.
House of Horrors, my
I think
friend.
that's when Lance said, I know you call it trap game, Brown. Duke's going to be a good football team. I like Riley Leonard.
Yeah.
I think they'll beat Clemson week 1. Now, you didn't say it then, but you said it when the game rolled around.
Yeah, even if Notre Dame gets past Ohio State in this spot, and I don't think they will right now, again, a lot of week to still go, you got to go to Duke, you've got USC, and you got to go to Clemson. If Notre Dame is to go undefeated, they are going to earn their way into the college football playoff.
Yep, every bit of it.
Every bit of it. All right, as we get going in this hour, I've got my Harbin's Outdoors question of the day ready for you. I'll give you time to think as LT tells you about Harbin's Outdoors. But it's who is already high on the panic meter? That's going to be your question. Which programs, you can go fans, which fans are extremely high on the panic meter. That's brought to you by our friends at Harbin's Outdoors.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to have a great conversation with Jeremy last night. He's coming out to the house on Friday, and we're going to take a look at doing some different stuff in the backyard to actually placate for my dogs. Don't you love when the dogs dictate what you're doing to the backyard? But that's the thing that Jeremy can do. He's a award-winning landscape company specializing in installing custom fiberglass pools, landscaping, hardscaping. Jeremy does it all, from the install to the lighting, final hardscapes around the pool, everything in between. Beautiful work. You can find him on Instagram at Harbins_outdoors. See it for yourself. Call or text Jeremy directly, 205-300-0718. That's 205-300-0718. About to start a job for the Corns.
For the Corns as well. I would say extremely high or high, maybe medium for some of these teams, okay,
right.
on the panic meter.
You're going to give me the team, right?
I will.
All right.
If I said to you Alabama.
Extremely high.
I'd say medium high. I don't know that it's extreme. You lose to Ole Miss and it's extremely high.
No, I mean, it's done. That's why, to me, it's extremely high. This is a very losable game with a very good quarterback coming in. Lane Kiffin is very familiar with this Alabama team. That was a game in the fourth quarter that was in doubt last year. It was in the fourth quarter 2 years ago. It was in doubt. Ole Miss thinks they're going to win this game. So one more loss, Bama is done for the season. There is no, hey, like last year, get to a Sugar Bowl and beat Kansas State and win 11 games. That doesn't exist in an Alabama universe under Nick Saban. So I think it is at high panic alert right now.
I actually agree with LT. I think it was high after the loss to Texas.
Got higher.
And it got higher after the win at South Florida. And now the two guys that are on the other sidelines who spent time helping win championships in the past in Tuscaloosa, a chance for them to come in and play the hills and spoil everybody's fun. I would put it extremely high as well. I agree with LT.
And I know you say it got higher at South Florida, and there was a lot not to like about that South Florida game, but I also think a rational Alabama fan looks at that and realizes Nick Saban was, like Klatt said, I think earlier this week, he was using it like a scrimmage. I think if you're a realistic Alabama fan, you look at that and say, I know what was going on.
Yeah, it's just tough, and I get that. And I think there was, hey, we're going to prove a point. Jalen's not playing in this game. I don't care, even if we're almost about to lose this game. But to do that after a loss, where you could regroup and you can say, you know what, Texas might be one of the best teams. We might see them again in January. But you just can't look that bad. I don't care if it's a scrimmage or not. That was awful.
It was awful. I don't disagree with you.
And I agree with Troy. Stroking out high is probably where they are.
Yeah, RTD4 Super High, Vulcan Tire and Automotive are right there. LT's neighbor, if you don't think it's high, you haven't been on Bama Online. LOL.
I have not been on Bama Online. You don't have to LOL it. I've been there.
If Bama loses, it'd be the first time Bama's out of the championship conversation this early in a long time. 2 losses in September.
It's never happened under Saban.
Was not on my bingo card.
And even in 2010, and we talked about this on Bama and Bourbon, which will be coming up right after the next round today at 12 o'clock. In 2010, Alabama was still in the conversation in November, in the month of November. Remember, if they would have beaten LSU in Baton Rouge, where I think it was a 4th down trick play or something from Les Miles, Alabama ended up losing the game. Yeah. And then the next week, they had Auburn obviously on the ropes. They were dominating that game early. The season could have been completely different, but you lose this game, it's over in September.
Tennessee.
I would say low. I think a lot of Tennessee fans are panicked a little bit about Joe Milton, not necessarily the overall team, but Joe Milton. I think when you look at the way your defense adjusted into the second half of that game, they got worked a little bit in the first half. They played much better in the second half. But Joe Milton, for some Tennessee fans, is a concern, but I still think it's low panic there.
I think it's high.
I do too.
Well,
is there anybody you think's low?
No.
I mean, we were talking about irrational people.
Right.
We were talking about the great college football,
here's what you look at, bro.
fans, including us.
Josh Heupel, last year probably overachieved with that team. But still, if you're building in year 3, you want to get a little bit better. Like, we want to go to an SEC championship game. It might not be realistic, but you at least got to beat Florida. You're favored on the road. It's a place you haven't won since 2003. You feel like you've got the better roster and the better coach, and you end up getting popped in that game. So for me, there's still you got A&M, you got to go to Bama, you got to go to Kentucky. To Missouri looks a little more tricky now. Georgia, there are so many winnable games on that schedule, and if they were to dive back from 11 wins last year to losing 5 games, if I'm a Tennessee fan, I don't know where we are.
That's why I think it's high, Brown, because it feels like 15 years, man. We're back in the conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, we lose at Florida, just same old, same old. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. That makes me extremely high on the panic meter. If I say Texas A&M.
I'd say it's moderate. Is moderate a choice?
Moderate, medium, however you want to go.
Medium. I'm not going to say it's high. I do think they've got faith in Bobby Petrino. Ultimately, while it was a bad loss at Miami, that is not a conference loss. You could still accomplish your conference goals with just winning games. That was a bad performance. But until they lose a conference game, I don't think you hit high panic.
See, 2 years ago, I would have said, you know what, Brown, this is just the difference in our personalities.
Right.
Like, I get a little more stressed out. You're a little more even kill.
That's true.
I don't think that is necessarily as true as it used to be. But if you're A&M and you get Bobby Petrino and you've got all these playmakers and you lose by double digits before you get into conference play, it's stroke out high right now. 100%.
LT has the conference on fire. Right?
I mean, do you not agree?
I do agree with you, LT. And I've learned over the years, it used to be a discussion of cup half full, cup half empty with Brown and me. I realized my cup has a hole in it.
Yeah. It's always empty.
I can't believe you don't have anybody that's on full out panic.
I mean, we're in September.
And they've got one loss.
But they haven't even lost a conference game yet.
Exactly. But what are the chances if you're going to lose by double digits to Miami, and if you're Texas, they come in and win by double digits in Tuscaloosa, are either one of those teams going to be able to go undefeated in conference play? That's my whole thing.
I'll tee you one up, Brown. LSU.
Well, I don't think there's panic at all.
Yeah, it does feel different now. There was a lot of concern after they lost to Florida State, but now it's like...
Now you've seen your team go on the road. Now, they may beat... That might be the worst team in the West. I don't know. We'll see at the end of the year. But State was never in that game. I mean, there was not 1 second that State was in that game. And not only that, you saw your quarterback that you thought could be a Heisman contender look like a Heisman winner. And you saw a receiver that was unstoppable. You got to be so excited.
Yeah, to me, it comes down. Ole Miss could be really tricky next week. We'll see how good. We're going to get a nice barometer on both Ole Miss and Alabama this week. But, yeah, I think it's moderate for LSU. The problem is you can't afford another loss because you did lose to Florida State. But I think they're comfortable with what they saw. They looked like an elite team last week. And if they're able to take care of Arkansas like I think they will by 3 or 4 touchdowns this week, they should be able to take care of Ole Miss. Then it comes down to a 1 or 2 game season against Alabama and A&M.
Clemson. Now, this is Clemson as we sit here on a Wednesday. Obviously, it can look very different at midnight on Saturday.
Stroke out high. And here's why, Brown. Because not only if you lose this game are you done again from the college football playoff, and this will be, 3 consecutive years they haven't gotten there?
Seems like it.
Yeah. Not only that, but you start to really wonder, will Dabo ever be able to get back to the level he had this program?
Yeah.
So I think it is stroke out. If Florida State was to go in there and pop them like they did LSU, I mean, Clemson is done.
See, you're basing your panic meter on what might happen. I'm basing mine on what has happened. So if I'm a Clemson fan, it's moderately high right now. I have not liked the way we have played football this year. But I also know if I just beat Florida State Saturday, I'm back in control of the ACC like I always am. So I'm not stroking out high yet, but it is moderate.
No, I'm saying it flips. It's a complete 180. Like right now, I'm stroke out, but if I'm a Clemson fan and we beat Florida State, I'm calm again.
See, I'm approaching it differently. I'm calm until I lose to Florida State.
TCU.
I mean, you went to it should be low. I mean, what do you expect if you're TCU? You played for the national championship last year. That ought to be enough for 5 years.
Yeah, this is me with the Rams. Again, it always comes back to the Rams. But after winning the Super Bowl in 21, we had a terrible year last year, and you guys know I was kind of relaxed about it because you got to have some kind of – somebody over in the Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat room said that Brown is treating this as an observer. I'm treating it like a fan.
I think that is probably the case.
Yeah. But I think there are certain fan expectations like TCU and like a Rams fan. If you have an incredible year – then there's nothing wrong with coming back to the pack the next year.
Yeah, I would see, but like Tennessee last year, I was like, I want to stay there, man. I feel
I
belong there.
That's different.
I feel like I belong there.
TCU didn't belong there.
All right.
Is there any others that jump out to you that should be on the panic meter? That was all I had right there. Is there anyone else that panic meter is high? Like it's calmed down at Oklahoma. Obviously, they feel a lot better.
They should
feel a lot better at Texas right now. They feel a lot better at Florida State. Anywhere else where it's high? I mean, if you're a Mississippi State fan, a lot of Mississippi State fans who went over there, I wasn't expecting that to turn out any different, but I thought it would be a really competitive football game. and it wasn't. A lot of State fans, I got a lot of friends who are State people, and they were like, ugh.
Well,
we've broken Will Rogers.
Your offense looked awful, and you know you've got a defensive coordinator as a head coach, right? So you at least think, well, even if our offense is bad, at least he could slow them down. It wasn't even a traffic cone. I mean, LSU had their way in the first half. Anything they wanted to do, they were able to. So if I'm a State fan, I'm like, I knew our offense might struggle a little bit, but I at least thought we'd be better on defense than that. I mean, that was a complete 100% loss. There's nothing they did well.
By the way, our friend Nebraska, Matt Rule, Nebraska, they got their first win, but did you see they lost 2 of their top 3 running backs for the season?
Yep.
I mean, their running back room is down. That's going to hurt them.
At least they're solid at quarterback.
Yeah, no, they needed those running backs there. And Wisconsin, I mean, you're a little worried at Wisconsin, right?
I was thinking about bringing Wisconsin up. You know, they bounced back against Georgia Southern, and they really dominated that second half en route to covering, by the way. The 20.5, boy, if you have Georgia Southern. Tough loss
had
there.
to feel robbed there.
Yeah, you really did. But you bring in Phil Longo, you bring in Tanner Mordecai, a quarterback that's got a ton of experience, ton of production. You've got 2 of the best, or maybe one of the best, running combinations in all of college football. And there's just something missing right now with Wisconsin.
Yeah, by the way, if you're paying attention, Louisville, who we all thought would have a really good year because of their schedule.
I did.
Big win against Indiana over the weekend, neutral site game, churning along. Louisville's 3-0, one of 39 FBS unbeaten teams. Tell us about Woodhouse, since we got everybody all panicked out, stroke panic high. Need to chill, a little zen with our friends at Woodhouse.
Yeah, Woodhouse, again, if you're having that big weekend, you want to lay around and watch football, send the wife or girlfriend to the Woodhouse Day Spa located at the Summit Shopping Centers, right off of Highway 280. You can choose from a menu of over 70 options, including massages, body treatment, skincare, waxing, nail services. Woodhouse Day Spa voted America's best day spa since 2009. You can order that special person gift card online 24/7, birmingham.woodhousespas.com, or just get in, go see Casey and Stewart at the Woodhouse Day Spa and tell them the next round sent you.
Remember, for 2 weeks, 2 days now in a row, we've shown you Dan Lanning back in July reacting to Colorado leaving the Pac-12 when Oregon was staying in the Pac-12. And he was like, well, really, what impact, basically paraphrasing here, is Colorado leaving? What do they want in the Pac-12? Well, Deion Sanders gets asked yesterday at his news conference, did Dan Lanning's comments back in the summer, is that making it personal again?
Oregon's head coach has spoken about Colorado a few times in the past. Is it personal once again this week?
I respect the heck out of this man, what he's accomplished stepping in, taking over a program and keeping it not only rocking steady, but accelerating it. So I'm not a fan of anybody. I mean, except for, you know, some of the celebrities that got a tremendous gift, but not in sports. I respect the heck out of him. I love what he's accomplishing. I love who he is, the way he runs his team. I love the way he operates. So I got a lot of respect for him.
Okay, so game we think we can win, personal. Game we think we can win, they made it personal. Game we almost certain we can win, they made it personal. We're going to play Oregon. It ain't quite so personal now, is it?
I think Dion believes what I believe.
Hey, hit the bell, Rockstar.
Dion ain't dumb.
We set that up.
Not quite so personal when the rabbit's got the gun, right?
Yeah, I will tell you that I think Dion just showed you that there is prime time.
Right.
And Coach Sanders is a great evaluator of talent.
That's right. He can
and
watch
when he
film.
started watching Oregon,
Yep.
not so personal this week.
Yeah,
I
think,
game.
Yeah.
Look, again, they've already exceeded expectations. I mean, you think about the brand, you think about everyone talking about the viewership right now. They have made their money on Dion. He has made a splash. It really doesn't matter whatever happens from here on out. I know some people would disagree with me, but you know Dion is building for the future.
Yeah.
And he is going to be a power because of the talent he's going to bring in. And I still think they win 5, 6, 7 games, and he's going to be in the mix for National Coach of the Year. But this is one of those games I don't believe they can win. If they win this game, all bets are off.
Yeah, no
and
doubt.
I will book my ticket to Denver right after at 6 o'clock Saturday night.
For the USC game?
Yes.
So if they upset Oregon, you're going to USC Colorado.
I'm gone. My Georgia Auburn plans are
reverse.
Yeah, they're done.
Game day even has to change locations
That's right.
sometimes
Yeah.
because of outcomes.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about this. I will be in state next week.
Yeah, it is so funny the way Deion Sanders did not want to give Oregon a little extra bulletin board by saying they made it personal. You know, Dan Lanning and them were sitting there. If he says anything, that we can fire our guys up.
Yeah.
If he says personal, we're gonna have the green and gold T-shirts that's saying it's personal walking into Autzen Stadium. Smart play by Deion Sanders, proving that he is not really just a first-year coach. This guy's smart, man. Smart guy. We'll do trash when we come back. Chicken Cock bringing you part of the show. When you're pouring one out this weekend to enjoy a little college football, make it Chicken Cock. Ask for it by name, LT.
Yeah, again, people ask me all the time, hey, what is up with this Chicken Cock whiskey? I've never had it. And I tell them, well, go out and get it. It's available in 2 essentials. You can get the bourbon and rye in the state of Alabama. For all other expressions, you can special order at your local ABC store or order online, chickencockwhiskey.com. Chicken Cock Whiskey, one of the oldest whiskey brands in America, founded in 1856 in Bourbon County, Kentucky, known as a famous old brand. Pick up a bottle this week of Chicken Cock Whiskey.
Follow LT on Twitter at @TheLanceTaylor.
The next round is brought to you in part by the biggest, baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Superspeedway. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and always puts on a great show for the fans. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming and you do not want to miss it. Saturday, September 30th is the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, followed by Sunday's Yellowwood 500 in the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs. Be there to see drivers battle 500 miles to survive. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
It's college football time in Alabama. This is Congressman Robert Adderholt. I grew up an Alabama fan, Roll Tide, but my wife, Caroline, grew up an Auburn fan, War Eagle. But no matter who you pull for, whether it's the Lions of the University of North Alabama or the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State or any other school in between, I want to wish all the players, the coaches, and especially the fans another great college football season here in Alabama. I'm Robert Adderholt, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Adderholt for Congress.
Want more of The Next Round? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast. The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Football season is here, and Legacy Credit Card is just what you need to manage your spending safely and wisely. Credit cards offer better consumer protection against fraud when compared to a debit card, which is linked directly to your bank account. Legacy offers rates as low as 8.9% APR on credit cards compared to major card providers who advertise rates as high as 29% APR. Look no further than Legacy. Open a credit card online in minutes at legacycreditunion.com/join. APR's annual percentage rate, rates, and offers subject to change. See website for details. Federally insured by NCUA.
The extra hours of sunshine are back on the clock, and that means it's time for golf at Timberline, a short drive from Birmingham or Montgomery. Go to timberlinegc.com to book your tee times, schedule a lesson, or just drop by and use the TrackMan technology on the driving range. The course is always fun, in great shape, and you can even become a member. Get all the details at timberlinegc.com. It's time to get your golf on with our friends at Timberline.
No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, we have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails. And don't forget about that 29-degree man-sized drafts. It's Twin Peaks at the Patton Creek Shopping Centers.
Champy's Chicken brings you this hour all the time, and also the great folks there at Alabama Power. If you're looking for easy ways to manage your Alabama Power account, you can do that by just logging on to the Alabama Power website, and that's real easy. Like when you have outages in the area, just go to alabamapower.com/storm, alabamapower.com/storm, and keep up with outages, when it'll be back on. You port down lines and all that right there online with the Alabama Power app, alabamapower.com/storm for more details right there. We're going to talk to our buddy Geoff Collins in the next segment, but right here it is time for Trash Every Day. Rockstar, hit the big button, man.
I was in the bathroom taking a shave.
What?
And I heard a screeching, between a screech and a whistle. I said, what in the world is this? And I heard a boom.
LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages done the right way.
Did Patty send it to you?
Forrester sent it to me, but it's he's describing the plane crash, the F-35.
Oh, the one that was missing?
You ever taken a shave in the bathroom?
When he said that, I was like, rock star? What we got here?
No, Patty says it's local news did the story, and Patty, the office chick, sent it to me. He was like, this is a great trash open. So I assumed he sent it to you.
By the way, they showed it to me this morning. I was like, "That's definite."
So
that's
that's the eyewitness news story account, local news story.
You also have to
account.
get a Kevlar vest on for some reason.
Wow,
I don't know why.
They did find it. They found the F-35, 80-mile radius from where the guy parachuted out.
So not Buc-ee's.
A debris field, by the way. So it crashed and
or the Ukraine. Some people thought you might find it in the Ukraine too.
Damn. Okay, yeah. Trash always brought to you by our friends at Mortgage Right. Look, they do mortgages the right way. Call them today, 205-815-9200, NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender. The first ever confirmed dog-fox hybrid, a dachshund, has been found in Brazil. Do you guys believe in the dog-fox hybrid?
So
I didn't know we could do this, but is this it happened in the wild?
Now, look, the animal was discovered after being hit by a car taken to a vet in 2021. Staff couldn't work out if the young female was a dog or a fox. Scientists from local universities performed extensive genetic tests, determined she was half and half. Her mother was a Pampas fox. Her father was a domestic dog. They observed she had an unusual mix of dog and fox characteristics with a large pointy ear, thick wiry fur, long thin snout. Although she was very wary of humans, she did warm up to them and even allowed herself to be petted.
Yeah.
She refused food but ate live rodents. She barked like a dog and sometimes played with toys but moved like a fox.
I can't see the chat room right now, but I'm sure they're saying there's a little dog in all of us when there's a fox around.
Oh, I'm sure they're saying that, don't they?
Yeah, I don't think that. I'm looking right now. I don't see it, but
I don't think those kids on social media know what a fox is. That's a cool looking animal, though.
Yeah, not
I
bad.
bet it'd be a pain in the ass. It'd be worse than my Beachels right now.
I'd sleep with one eye open.
Yeah, I think I would too. I don't know that I trust the DNA makeup.
He'd shit on your chest and gnaw your junk off.
Yeah.
It's like,
jeez, that's a bad night. Can you reverse that?
Laying in bed and all of a sudden it starts howling. That scares the hell out of me.
Buffalo Bills fans, always in the news, it seems like. This next level, though, an unidentified football fan was naked and covered in human excrement. Was discovered in a construction site hole near the Buffalo Bills home opener a couple of Sundays ago. The extent of his injuries was a cut on his forehead. According to the thread, the unnamed fan is a 29-year-old male who jumped over a fence by the stadium construction site. He fell 30 to 40 feet and sustained only a cut on his forehead. Now, the fan was naked, covered in shit. He was found on-site porta potty. Double whammy, they say. As you can probably assume, according to the cops, he was under the influence of drugs, alcohol, combination of LSD, cocaine, and marijuana.
So the best thing about this is the press conference they did. Like, we got to put something on the TV. So we're going to put, how about a stadium incident?
Yeah.
Right, double it.
Why do we have
the military
involved here? Right.
Well, it was an incident.
Do they have to airlift him out? A lot of people at a press conference just to say we had a drunk Bills fan that fell in a hole. I mean, I think that probably could have been handled by the mayor's spokesperson, and let's go to lunch.
Hey, no mention of how long the man was trapped in the hole. The man's still being evaluated. Has been issued an appearance ticket for criminal trespass.
Hey, on a serious note, Dale Mooney, who died at the Dolphins game, the Patriots fan, who was in an altercation with a Dolphin fan
That
and
is
took
correct,
two hits to the face, and 53-year-old was dead on the scene, but they pronounced him dead when he got to the hospital. Autopsy back today, not a traumatic injury. They think it was his heart.
Oh, so he got in a fight and his heart exploded?
I was about to say, you never know who you're messing with.
Yeah, you don't.
Boy, I tell you, man, these confrontations at games.
NFL fights all the time. I mean,
all
it's
the time.
all over social media.
I'm telling you, I would not take my kids to an NFL game.
No.
A man from South Florida was arrested for allegedly setting fire to a car that belonged to his ex-girlfriend, who also happens to be his cousin.
Wow. So is this in the South?
Way south. But you've heard the more south you go in the state of Florida, the more
northern it gets.
Yeah, the more northern it gets. Yeah. Melvin Centron was charged with second-degree arson, third-degree grand theft on Wednesday. Now, shortly before midnight on April 29th, Holmes' Ring doorbell camera captured an unknown man pouring what appeared to be gasoline on a car before igniting it. According to the police report, police found a white four-door Jaguar heavily damaged by fire upon arrival.
Jaguar?
Inside of the car sustained heavy damage, and the roof was completely burned off. Now, police made contact with the victim on September 11th. After months of trying, the arrest report said She said she didn't have an opportunity to report the incident or contact police because she had been living in fear of Cintron. Now, the victim said Cintron is her familia cousin, and the two were in a dating relationship and lived together up until September 8th.
Now, we've discussed this. How far separate do you have to be to date a cousin?
Sister. Well, what are you asking?
How far separate? Like second cousin, third cousin?
Well, I think first and second are definitely
You
out.
think that's 100% off?
That's off the table.
I will guarantee you this on the 23andMe that we've talked about. Like, you can get in touch with different relatives on there, and I bet you've got like a fifth removed cousin.
Yeah.
And there's been conversations that have started up, and people have started dating that way.
Yeah. I mean, I think once you get past second, I think you're safe there. Now, I don't know,
Well, that's just the East Alabama coming out in you.
I mean, this dude.
I did grow up in Calhoun County.
He
yes.
looks crazy as hell. I
Yeah,
don't think
yeah.
first cousin is off for him.
No, if you told me that guy's dating his cousin, I'm like, yeah, that tracks.
Well, that's going to throw off Thanksgiving, though, right?
A little bit.
So, pretending to be a Jedi Knight armed with a glowing lightsaber, fanning out over Star Wars animations, and even rocking a clunky pocket protector. These are all the makings of a great husband, according to social media know-it-alls. They say, quote, go for the nerd. It's encouraged soon-to-be married podcaster Isabel Brown, 26, from Florida, in a trending TikTok bulletin with over 5.3 million views. There is no way she goes for the nerd.
Yeah, but see, there's so many nerds that are watching her that if you say that, then you get a lot of likes, right? That's a smart plan
Well,
on
it's
her.
another thing. You can be a nerd, but you got to be good looking. You think of nerd, you're thinking a guy with just a dork. I think she's thinking like you got to be Channing Tatum looks, but also into anime. It's fine, just as long as you're good looking.
Yeah, like if they both look the same, she prefers the nerd over the jock, is basically what she's saying.
Yeah, so nerds make the best husbands, she captions in the clip. She says it's fact. Brown, who's engaged to be married, began her viral advertisement, or advisement, I should say, with a stitched video from a separate TikTok user asking how other women have been able to successfully score a loving man who satisfies all of their needs. Went on to shame society for failing to celebrate the supreme splendor of the four-eyed guys wearing suspenders. She went on to say, hear me loud and clear. If he owns a lightsaber, green flag. If he has purchased a wand from the world of Harry Potter, greenest possible flag.
Please.
If he has a healthy obsession...
What are you laughing at?
Just Lunsford behind me goes 2 for 2.
If he has the unhealthy obsession with a Shakotano, you better run to the altar. I guess this is anime.
Oh, yeah, that's anime.
No, that's got Tyler there.
Lunsford, I got you on. You talk about it, man.
That's not anime. That's a Jedi, the current show that's on.
What, a
Disney Plus.
Shakotana is?
Oh, my God.
I mean, whoever thought the back row was this desirable.
Yeah,
seriously.
I'll be honest, man. I'm dating a nerd right now because Tyler was talking about the anime that wasn't for him. It was for his first cousin, and she starts texting me on Dark Moon or whatever it was.
Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's seen all the Fast and Furious. My gosh.
Well, I don't think that's nerd, is it? Fast and Furious. That's more car people.
Car people, bad taste in movies. Fair?
I've never watched one of them.
Lunsford 2 for 2?
Yeah.
I mean, Ludacris took a car to space, did he not, in one of the Fast and Furious?
I've never seen them. Don't ruin them for me.
Finally, we're going to end on shower thoughts. These are some good ones. It's surprising that GPS is free in a world where everything else costs money.
I'm waiting for it to be charged. One day, the cars are going to have to. I'm waiting for it.
Keep in mind, though, we paid for the technology with our
Correct.
tax dollars because it was a military thing. So we've already paid for it just in advance.
Yeah, but I mean, like even Waze, you download that for free, and that's the best GPS deal out there.
Well,
you don't pay a dime for it.
It's cute how it does whenever you stop somewhere. At stoplight,
Well,
it goes, there's a Chevron within 0.2 miles.
They got to
Where
make
go?
money somehow,
Yeah,
right?
but the Waze, again, we sort of pay for that by giving it information when there's a car stalled on the side or a police officer.
Do you
that's there.
participate? Are you a Waze?
Sometimes.
I'm a Waze influencer.
Sometimes,
I don't know about you.
yeah. I'll let them know it's still there.
Yeah,
Still there.
I like
still
let them
there.
know the cop's still there. You know, I mean, because somebody let me know the cop was there, so I'm going to know the cop's still there.
So they say there are two kinds of lazy people: those who climb out of swimming pools using the ladder because it's easier than just using the side of the pool, and those who use the side of the pool because they're too lazy to swim to the ladder.
I think I'm the ladder. No, the last one. I use the side of the pool. I don't want to swim all the way to a ladder.
Yeah. I go to the ladder because not great upper body strength.
See, I like using the side of the pool.
I
And I
do
don't know if
too.
it's because I don't swim to the ladder or not.
Do you do the old push-up turn and land? Is that the way you get out?
This is good. Mercedes has 3 different E's that all sound different. Mercedes.
Oh, it really does.
That's English has got to be fun for some
It
people.
really is. That is a mind bender right there.
Mercedes.
People feel.
My God, how did you just say it? You
Mercedes. How do you do, Mrs.
Jim
Wiley?
just said it with a U in it. Mer.
I'm from Alabaster, man. Thompson High, shout out.
2 more shower thoughts. People feel less pain buying a $1,000 phone every couple of years than buying a $1,000 fridge or TV every couple of decades. By the way, new iPhone comes out this Friday.
That's true. That's true. Speaking of which, somebody hit our computer.
Okay, final shower thought. This might be the best. When a porn star is getting undressed, she's actually getting dressed for work.
Dressing up.
Time to go to work. That is Trash Today, brought to you by our friends at Mortgage Right.
Yeah, again, make that phone call today, 205-815-9200. Buying a home is a major milestone in life. Getting it right comes down to the right advice at the right time. That's why we're proud to partner with our friends at Mortgage Right who get mortgages right. 205-815-9200 or mortgageright.com/TNR.
By the way, in a poll of Gen Zers out there, what they want to grow up to be, it's the same in the U.S. and UK. 57% of them want to grow up to be
YouTube influencer.
Social media influencers. Yeah. 57%.
Sad.
In China, majority of Gen Zers want to grow up to be an astronaut. It's a weird place to want to be an astronaut.
I mean, our society here in America tits up.
When we come back, Geoff Collins, college football coach, a guy who helped build the Alabama dynasty, will join us next. We'll talk college football with him with the final 20 minutes of the show right here on TNR.
Follow Brownie on Twitter and Instagram at Ryan Brown Live.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round. You've heard me for years talk about our friends at Bromberg's Jewelers, and we welcome you to stop by and see that great customer service at the Mountain Brook and Summit locations. But we'd also love for you to check out their new online shop. They've got plenty to choose from. Great gifts, big and small. Available online, they've got David Yurman, Tudor watches, select diamond and gemstone jewelry, William Henry, seasonal and favorite giftware items, and baby gifts as well. They've even got an online sale section. For more information, Brombergs.com.
The wait is over. Tonali has arrived. Beautifully distinctive Italian styling and performance. Come test drive the all-new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonali plug-in hybrid at Alfa Romeo of Birmingham. The all-new Tonali offers best-in-class horsepower and torque, fastest 0 to 60 times in its class, plus best-in-class range with full electric charge. And best of all, qualified Tonali leasees are eligible for up to $7,500 EV tax credit factored into your lease. Hurry down to Alfa Romeo of Birmingham and experience the all-new Tonali.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, and compression therapy all under one roof. It's our friends at HydroLive. Mention Next Round at checkout. Save 20% off any service. HydroLive's got 3 locations, Homewood, Tuscaloosa, and coming soon to Greystone. The Next Round brought to you by the biggest and baddest track in NASCAR, the Talladega Superspeedway. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming up. You don't want to miss it. The action kicks off Saturday, September 30th with the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, all leading up to the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs on Sunday, October the 1st. Be there to see these drivers battle for 500 miles to survive and advance to the next round of the playoffs. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Again, that is TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
There are so many things I love about walk-ons. Authentic, mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine, prepared fresh, daily from scratch. A great beer selection and TVs everywhere to watch the big game every day of the week. And of course, they've got 2 great locations on Highway 280 and 119 and at Hoover near the Hoover Met. Walk-ons is also a great place for happy hour. 2 to 6 Monday through Friday with $5 moonshine swirls, $5 house pours, and half-price appetizers. And it's an easy take-home experience for the family as well. Highway 280 and Hoover with walk-ons.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
All right, Dr. B, our proud sponsor. The guy made LT's hair look good. I wish I'd met Dr. B years ago so he could have saved mine. He saved LT's, and maybe he'll save somebody else's on the show at some point. But mine's too far gone.
Yeah, hair follicles dead. Look, I tell you, get preemptive. If you start thinning out, that's the time you need to go see Dr. Beckenstein. That was the name everybody mentioned. My hair has more than doubled in thickness since I went to see Dr. B. Make that phone call that I made, 205-319-0316. For more than 20 years, women and men have turned to Dr. Beckenstein for a range of cosmetic and reconstructive procedures. He will use that experience, his advanced training, and genetic testing to help his patients fully understand the procedures they are considering. Call Dr. B today. Tell him the next round sent you, 205-319-0316 or t3hair.net.
He has long time been a friend of the show, Geoff Collins, the former Temple at Georgia Tech head coach, defensive coordinator at Alabama, defensive coach at Alabama, coordinator at State and Florida. He's with us now in studio. Welcome in, Coach. How are you today?
This is awesome, man. Love the setup.
Yeah, it's good to have you in. Yeah, just hanging out and watching football this year, not coaching it.
I am. I'm doing a little consulting and just watching ball and getting to hop on some shows every now and then and talk ball. So I'm having a blast with it.
Well, you know, I know you got a ton of friends in the business, but as a spectator now that you're kind of out of it a little bit, is it more fun to watch this parody? Because it seems like as we go into week 4, we are going to have some serious chaos, and it's not just the 5 to 7 teams that you could pretty much book were going to be in the college football playoff. Right. I mean, 2 years before the chaos started, we had Cincinnati. Last year, TCU plays for national championship. And hell, I don't know how this thing's going to play out this year.
And it's going to be a crazy weekend. I mean, there's so many good games on. So it's going to be very interesting moving forward how this thing, the pecking order, starts to sort itself out going forward. But just personally watching games, I thought being, a ball coach and being all-consuming at all times was, stressful. But now watching so many games, and now I get invested in my buddy's success, or, if something bad happens and they lose a game, the feeling is not just for me, it's for a bunch of my guys that I'm watching throughout college football. It's interesting.
Yeah, I heard Nick say this in Tuscaloosa back in the summer, that it's not his ones that are hitting the portals. It was his 2s and 3s that hit the portal so much. And, a couple of receivers are here, running back there. Is that why there's so much parity now, the portal? Is it the NIL, a mixture of both? Right. How do you keep depth on a program now?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I went over to see Coach Dilfer and what he's building over at UAB and watch them practice. And, I think he's going to do a great job there. But it's just interesting seeing the group of 5 level, their ones, their stars are the ones that are moving on and moving up. And then you've got other places, like the Alabamas or the elite programs, guys that aren't seeing playing time, they're bouncing at the end of the year and going and making a name for themselves. So it's up and down and sideways. It's an interesting time in college ball.
Coach Geoff Collins is with us. There's been so much talk about Dion and primetime, and you've been able to watch some of the games. A lot. I know Nick Saban was asked earlier today. He said he caught a little bit of Colorado State first time he'd been able to see him. But you know the business. You know the game. You had to turn around some programs before. I mean, to be 3-0 for a program that was 1-11 last year, and to do it the way he's done it. As a coach, I know it's different than the way it used to be done, but it's got to be impressive as a coach to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously there's some places that I've transitioned to that I obviously wish the portal would have been in existence when I was doing it.
No doubt.
But just the way he's done it, using the rules that are in place right now, he's the right place at the right time, not just at Colorado, but just in college football to be able to do something like that. But the thing that stands out is how well they're coached. Offensively, defensively, as an entire team. I just think he's done a great job understanding where we're at in college football right now and capitalizing on it at a ridiculously high level. And then he surrounded himself with some really good ball coaches, and he's one himself. So it's been interesting to watch, and obviously them going and playing one of the top teams in Oregon this weekend will be a huge litmus test, but have been very impressed with how he's done it within the rules that are presented right now that, obviously weren't there 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Former Alabama great, part of the SEC network, Roman Harper joins us on the show every week.
Sure.
And I'll never forget, I was at the Rose Bowl for Alabama, Texas in 2009, Saban's first national championship. And Roman was sitting right in front of me with a Letterman's jacket on. And the reason I bring this up is he has passion for his alma mater. Now in the day of the transfer portal on the NIL, I don't know if we're going to get this anymore. And it's really sad. I think that's kind of a dying breed.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. I just think that, I watch a ton of ball. I get access to the coach's copy of every game in the country. And just the thing that stands out to me is you don't see every single play, every single player playing as hard as they can. Where Roman Harper's day, there's probably 11 Crimson Tide defensive players swarming for life and limb every single play. You don't see that, as much across the landscape. But just, hopefully it'll find its way to trend back to that way, because you watch NFL tape, those guys are playing lights out every single play, regardless of money or whatever. You'd like to see that at all levels.
Yeah, for those that don't know Geoff's past, he is the guy that sort of started a trend in college football for Coach Saban over in Tuscaloosa. The whole scouting that sort of Nick's roots were in the NFL, player development and scouting and researching in the recruiting. Geoff was part of building that dynasty that started over in Tuscaloosa that led to the 2009 national championship. We told you about the athletic story here on the show a couple of weeks ago that you were featured in. Yep. Those early days when you guys were laying that out to do in a college program, did you guys know how cutting edge that was going to be, and that ended up being the most copied thing of the Saban dynasty was what you guys were building?
Sure, I didn't know that at the time. I just was so fired up to go work for Coach, and to work at the University of Alabama was a great opportunity. And we were just trying to do the best that we could with the resources and what we were presented. But one of my favorite memories, and it flashed back when you were talking about Roman, was I'm at UCF coaching linebackers after I had left Alabama the 2 years prior, and watching the Rose Bowl. And a lot of pride in the roster that we had built, Julio and Marcel Darius and Mark Ingram and on, and watching them win the Natty. And I'm sitting there and having some pride with my wife and kind of bragging with her, but that's just one person. And then all of a sudden, about 30 minutes after the game, my phone starts ringing. Kirby calls me. Thank you for putting this in place. Burton Burns called me, who was a longtime running backs coach for Coach Saban. And I got those two phone calls, and I was feeling pride in the moment anyway, but to have two people that I love and respect so much reach out to me and say, hey, you're a part of this. I know you're not here celebrating. That meant the world to me.
Wow, it's really cool, though.
Yep.
Within 30 minutes of the end of the
Within
game.
30 minutes
it
of the
was
game.
3 days later would have been nice. But
Yes.
30 minutes from the end of the game is crazy.
It was awesome. And then you guys all know Cedric Burns.
Oh, yeah.
I go over there during the bye week last season and spend time in the facility and all the meetings, and Coach was great giving me access. And then I go out to practice, and Cedric sees me, and he's bragging to me about me to all the new assistants they have and this person. I don't say these things, but Cedric Burns saying basically what you just said to all these, and it just, I've got a lot of pride in that place.
Yeah. Well, Cedric's the nicest guy in the world. Somebody told me, I want Cedric Burns to write
I think everybody does.
That's who I want to write the
So
book.
Dunaway asked us earlier in the show, what is the right amount of sleep to get at night? And I just wanted to ask you, if you go back to 2007, was that the least amount of sleep you got working for Saban in that first year on campus?
I worked for George O'Leary, so if anybody remembers George O'Leary, back in the day, I worked for him for 5 years, which was really 18 to my body. But I would say I was with Coach from 7:30 every morning until 10 o'clock at night, 365 days a year.
Oh, my gosh.
It was that entire year I was with him from the start of the day till the very end of the day, and just learned so much. But it was not a restful time. But I would say the last 2 years as a head coach, with the portal, with NIL, all of the things that come around with it, has been probably, that era was probably the least that I had. Current day is probably the most I've ever gotten, and it's been glorious. So,
But I would say this, though, because I've talked to somebody that was on the Saban staff, and he was like, look, he was demanding. There's no doubt he was demanding. He said, but the thing I would say is we worked hours, but he worked every one of them with us. There was never a time where he left at 7 and we're there till 10.
Well, the other thing is he talks about process all the time, and it is real. He walks into the office every day at 7:25 in the morning. Mm-hmm. He's got his whole day planned out, 7:25, and at 10 o'clock at night, we could be mid-conversation about playing cover 2 versus this formation. 10 o'clock hits, he's gone. Now, in that window of time, he maximizes every single second like no one I've ever seen. A lot of people say they work long hours, but they do it, and they fiddle fart around for 3 of them. Right? They waste time, or they're talk. He has 0 wasted seconds in the entirety of his day. And he gets in at 7:25. He leaves at 10 o'clock. But during that time, it is a whirlwind of activity and production.
Yeah, I find the behind the scenes stuff of what they do over there fascinating. Brown and I, the first interview, I don't think Lance was with us, that we did with Nick when he got there. We walked back in to a room right off his office to do an interview, and it was just a radio interview. We didn't have cameras with us, but all of a sudden we walk in, and what does he start doing?
So there's two. I'm sure you saw it many times. There's 2 boards. There's the recruiting board and the depth chart.
Yep.
And we sit down in the conference room there, and we were with him for like an hour, and I think the first 30 minutes was just he had just gotten the job,
right.
And the idea was let Coach get to know you, get to know him,
right?
So we just kind of chit chat for a little bit, and then we're going to interview him after that. Well, we start chit chatting. He goes, "Hang on one second, guys," and he gets up and he walks over and flips 2 switches, and these screens, come down and cover the recruiting board and the depth chart. And it was kind of awkward.
Right.
And I was trying to break the tension. And I was like, Coach, both of us are too dumb to know what was on either one of those boards.
Right.
You didn't have to do that. And he goes, "Oh, I wasn't covering the boards up. I just didn't want the screens buzzing."
Yeah.
I was like, Coach, I know what
Now,
you're doing.
did y'all go into his office and he has the clicker to shut the door?
Yeah.
So when I got the head coaching job at Temple, the very first thing that my door was 3 yards from where I sat, but I had to have that clicker because I wanted to be like Coach. And the other interesting thing is when I went over there back, I guess it was October of last year, that room has not changed.
Oh, really?
It is exactly identical, even the tag, because I looked at the tags because I helped create them. Looked at the tags, they're identical. And then where did you guys sit when you guys were in the room? Like up there next to him? Or
Yeah. He was at the head of the table. We were right next to him.
So for 365 days, he's at one end of the table. I'm at the direct opposite, staring face to face with him all day, every day.
Well, I wanted to ask you, when you start the recruiting process, and obviously it starts with camps, and I don't know what age you start looking at recruits, but back in those days, when do you start what age do they start getting on the radar for a program like Alabama? And obviously you start inviting them to camps, I guess.
Right.
And how many people do you have on a board in the process that are in the cylinder that you're looking at before you start paring it down?
It's accelerated, obviously, since I was there with him. But I do remember, and I don't know what the timing was, how old DJ Fluker was at the time that we started recruiting him, but that was in 2007. Whatever signing class DJ was kind of gives you – but I still remember DJ there at the camp, one of the biggest people I had ever seen in my life. And obviously we put him on the recruiting board immediately. And but I'd say now it's accelerated to where if there's an elite 7th or 8th grader, somebody in the organization has tagged them and is tracking them.
Wow.
So go back 5 years ago when you're out recruiting on the road.
Yep.
And what was the most asked question from a recruit then, and now is the most asked question, how much am I going to get?
100%. That it used to be playing time, placing the depth chart, how am I going to fit within the system? Those conversations have changed. And even since I've been out of it, those conversations have the gap has even widened, especially with the transfer portal piece. But now high school guys, a lot of the conversations on their official are numerical.
I mean, coaches are making $10 million a year.
Sure.
What is a quarterback like Caleb Williams worth? I mean, if you had an unlimited NIL, would you go and say, hey, look, this guy's worth $5 million a year?
Right. I don't know that, but that position, you better put a premium at that position, whatever your collective or whatever the
you're seeing it with Bama right now.
The media and marketing opportunities that exist, you better make sure you have people in place to maximize those things.
Coach Geoff Collins for a few more moments in studio. I do want to ask you from an X's and O's perspective. Lane Kiffin made some news this week by saying that Kevin Steele's not calling the play. You're already laughing. Kevin Steele's not calling the plays anymore, but it's T-Rob calling them. Is that something an experienced coach could easily pick up from watching tape? Like, could you really watch one game of tape and say Kevin Steele's not calling these plays anymore?
Well, obviously, Lane is trying to get every advantage that he can, right?
There's no doubt. He's trying
and even though he's got a tremendous roster and he's got a great team and a great set of coaches, but having known Coach so long and Kevin Steele, Coach Saban came out flat and said Kevin Steele is the defense coordinator. But I did hear that comment, and one of the first things I did is I turned on the South Florida tape.
Okay.
Because I wanted to see, what did they see to make this, there's some truth to it, or what changed in the game. And you watch the South Florida offense versus the Alabama defense, and it's very similar to what Tennessee does. Well, the nature of that offense forces you to play in that system a certain way. So obviously it did look somewhat different than Texas because Texas doesn't do those things. So the basic nature, structure of it did look different, but it's not outside of the norm of what Kevin Steele or what Coach Saban does with versus that offensive setup.
Well, that's interesting because I've heard. It's so funny. I saw something today about. I don't know if this is. You've been in coaching, but maybe narrowing the hash marks like the NFL has done. Right. And apparently, Heupel is the guy that takes the most advantage of the hash marks.
Yeah.
Being why? Because he puts his receivers all the way on the sideline.
Well, and
right?
and he does. And then what Lane does, not in completely different offenses, but what Lane does is he'll do a lot of formation into the boundary. So he'll put the strength of his receivers, which most people put the strength of the receivers to the wide side of the field. Lane puts them into the boundary, into the short side, to make you make a whole bunch of adjustments. And he knows in Coach's scheme, Coach Saban's scheme, the stresses and the issues that creates. So you'll see that a bunch of guys watching or ladies watching on Saturday. There'll be a bunch of formations that will either start formation to the boundary, the strength of receivers, or somehow end up there to create different stressors on Coach's defense.
How important is pre-snap motion when you're going against a Saban defense?
It's huge, and really any defense, but with all the maximum communication that happens at the highest level in Coach's scheme, you have to have that level of communication. Well, the motions and shifts make all of those things amplified. So if you'll just watching the coach's copy, and I'm sure you can see it watching the game, the DB hand signals, when there's motions and shifts, they're having to do maximum communication. A lot of times that gets your eyes off of your keys, and that creates stress.
Yeah, it triggers a lot of changes on that side of the
does.
ball. Really, we could talk to you forever and ever. I'm so glad you swung by to see the place. We're very proud
It's
of
awesome.
it. And we've
Thank you,
always
Coach.
been proud of our friendship. Your phone calls and texts over the years have meant the world to us when we were going through some trying times. And we look forward, even though I know you're happy, we look forward to you coaching again.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
You'll see this guy every week with Siskey, McCready and Siskey. He's on once a week with them over on Disrupt the Media, part of our family up here. Go follow that on YouTube. And we are back with you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central. Don't forget Bud Light game night tomorrow night at the Grocery Brew Pub. And here at the top of the hour, Disrupt the Media show. It is Bama and Bourbon with Lance Taylor and Aaron Suttles. You'll get that on Roll Tide Pods. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America.
Jim.
Hey, welcome into another edition of Bama and Bourbon with Aaron Suttles from Yay, Alabama. I'm Lance Taylor from The Next Round, where we talk Bama and we talk bourbon. And this week's bourbon, Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select. Cool thing about this, Aaron, little show a little on the side. Not only is it custom Bama and Bourbon, but they also included an individual for each of us.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's got the
They even
names
spelled
on
my
it.
name right.
So, Beverage Place, Pink Package, Chan, JJ, everybody there.
That was awesome.
Along with Jack Daniels, thank you very much. He's great. I don't know if I've had the single barrel. Have you?
I have. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're about to pop it open. Probably need to if you're an Alabama fan. It's going to be a long fall of drinking bourbon.
Yeah.
Look, this thing could turn around quickly. You never know.
You never know.
We don't know how good Texas is. We assume they're going to be really good. Bama had a lead on them in the fourth quarter.
They didn't look great up until the fourth quarter, Texas.
Right.
Tied with Wyoming.
But Saturday was atrocious.
It was bad.
I mean, I was just sitting there with a couple of Alabama fans, and I'm like, it used to be literally 7-0.
It was over.
30 seconds into a game, and they didn't score a touchdown in the first half.
Yeah, the offense was just a mess. The weather certainly didn't help, but, Tyler Buckner did not present much of a throwing threat to USF. And they, the players said, and Saban said, they brought some blitz pressures that was a little exotic.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Sorry about the glasses.
No, you're good.
Shout out to Hallmark Construction next door, Luke Hallmark.
This is all we could pull because I didn't bring the bourbon glasses.
Love
back.
it. We could have been chugging it. Alabama fans probably could have related to that. But no, the offensive line's got to play better. Offensive line's got to play better. And
do they have? Can it be an elite offensive line? It doesn't look like it.
It doesn't. I think they can.
I bought into the hype this offseason, by the way.
I was one of the ones leading the charge based on what I was being told behind the scenes, that this offensive line was going to be good. And I still think they can be good. I don't know about elite with this unit. But look, the sacks everyone's harping on, which is rightfully so. They're giving up a lot of sacks. A lot of that is for true freshman left tackle. I think it really hurt him that Tyler Booker didn't play. He had back spasms. I think not having him there, sort of security blanket and make sure he got all the calls, hurt him. But the running backs have given up 4 sacks. So protection from your running backs has got to get better.
And I would assume that's the reason we haven't seen Justice Haynes in 2 games. I would assume. I can't necessarily say that. Look, Boydell was really good at closing the game out on Saturday.
Well, I was one of the guys saying Jam Miller's going to have a great year. He had 1 carry.
Yeah. And I think he had 2 the week before, so 3 touches in the last 2 weeks. It's crazy. And I didn't know who Daquan Evans was coming into the game, but Zero was in the backfield the entire day with 3 sacks.
Yeah.
By the way, he had 4 career tackles coming into the game.
It was crazy. It was just a weird game.
This is a team that gave up 41 to Western Kentucky, who looked completely lost against Ohio State. And Alabama, maybe they proved their point to Jalen Milroe.
Yeah.
Look, you've got inside information. You don't have to give us anything on that. What I heard and what I relayed was Jalen didn't have a good week in practice, which Nick Saban kind of alluded to. Maybe was pouting. I really don't know. But they were proving a point. They know Jalen Milroe is the best option, at least right now. Yeah. And for them not to play him the entire game, there was something
There was a point to be proven. I don't think that you're wrong listening to Nick Saban. When Nick Saban comes out and says, I like the way he handled himself in the game. Well, he didn't play in the game, so what was he doing? But when we saw him, what he was doing, he was pumping up his teammates. Yep. So I think you may be hearing some stuff on the backside, which I can neither confirm nor deny, but that maybe Jalen did not conduct himself well last week in practice. Probably some truth in that. And the fact that they I think he might, you tell me if I'm wrong. Nick Saban was content on losing that game maybe to prove a point. Do you think there was any circumstance they were bringing Jalen?
No, I don't
either. I don't either.
I don't. And I think he was just like, I think our defense is good enough that this team is not going to be able to beat us.
Yeah, and look, the only 3 points USF got came off turnover. So Alabama's defense played well. Finally, some signs of life from Dallas Turner. He played well.
Yep.
Chris Braswell played well. So defense got after it.
Yeah, look, defense to me is not going to be a problem. You can say what you want about Texas in the fourth quarter. Texas has got explosive 4- and 5-star guys. They've got an NFL quarterback. They're going to be able to score points. This is college football now. Yeah. When you hold anybody to 3 points.
Anybody.
Yeah,
anybody.
That's impressive. You just, I never understood the Tyler Buckner thing, but I gave it the benefit of the doubt because Tommy Rees obviously sees something in him to have that conversation of come here and you're getting an opportunity to play. The downgrade at quarterback from Jalen Hurts to Tua to Mac to Bryce has just, it is night and day.
It's precipitous. Yeah. It's a big fall off.
That's a writer's word, by the way. Hey, you dodged a bullet not going to Tampa this week.
I really did. Did you see the luge they had? The weather was horrible.
I was on the couch just looking at Alabama fans. How in the hell did you make the decision to go to Tampa for
miserable.
This game? And it's one thing if you won 68-3 and you felt better about the offense. You were in Vegas. I love being in Vegas in a sports book on a Saturday or a Sunday and just hearing the oohs and ahs, and you can tell what people have bet on. Did you get a feel that everybody loaded up on Alabama?
Yeah, you could tell that, and I, obviously I don't play the games. I'm you got to be neutral and all that, but you can definitely tell. The most fun part, the entire weekend, was I can't imagine how late it was back here because it was late in Vegas when Colorado and Colorado State.
1:15 was when it ended.
People
11:15 out there, which is late for a sports.
People feel a certain way about Dion. I'm sure you guys talked about on your show today the numbers that game pulled, but like everyone. And I'm not everyone because it's hard to get anything in life unanimous, but I'd say 95% of the people were pulling for Colorado.
Yeah, well, 90% of the money, that was official, was on Colorado against Colorado State. So the books really racked up on that game. But that was just a fun game to watch.
That was the best game of the weekend that I saw. And look, Colorado State played their tails off.
And by the way, without Dion, we never see that game.
No, never see it. Like, it's crazy how somebody is going to back the Brinks truck up at him this offseason.
Yeah.
And he's already put it out there. He doesn't want to go to the NFL. He draws a crowd, and everyone loves him right now because they're winning and things going great. But I mean, there were people saying this team might not win more than a couple games this year.
Look, I doubted them week 1 against TCU. I just felt like it's just too soon. They were 24-point underdogs for a reason. Week 2, I was like, okay, they're going to play defense down Nebraska. It didn't work. I stayed away last week. I was like, I ain't doubting them again.
Smart.
If I would have played, I probably would have played Colorado and lost again. But I feel really good about Oregon this week.
But like people were like screaming full-throated when Colorado made that comeback. Like people are on board the bus train.
Speaking of coming up this weekend in Eugene, Bo Nix is one of 2 FBS players in the history of the game to have 50-plus touchdowns at 2 schools, Auburn and
right?
Oregon. The other guy is Jalen Hurts, who Alabama had. Yeah. Then he goes to Oklahoma. It wasn't that big of a deal for Alabama because they recovered nicely with the quarterbacks after Jalen. Bo Nix would start for Alabama. Bo Nix would obviously start for Auburn. Bo Nix would probably start anywhere in the SEC outside of LSU.
Probably. He might have a shot there.
Yeah, he might. Now Jaden looked good again this weekend in Starkville. Yeah. But Bo Nix it's almost like he got the monkey off his back getting out of Auburn, going West Coast. Yeah. Not necessarily playing the defenses that you see in the SEC, but it's worked out for him. I'm just amazed where we are at the quarterback position in this state.
It's not great. It's not good. And listen, I'm supporting all these guys. I hope they come out and do well. But you have to be a realist. What we saw Saturday in Tampa was not good.
Yeah, and just when it looked like Jermaine Burton had turned the corner a little bit, the receivers, and I know it's bad weather and you're not getting any help from your quarterbacks, but
they couldn't get any rhythm at all.
Isaiah Bond was the only guy that had more than a reception.
Yeah, it was tough. It was just a tough go.
Is that the worst you've seen post season 1, 2007? Is that the worst you've seen Nick Saban team look offensively?
Man, you're really going to put me post 2007.
Somebody talked about the game in Fayetteville where they won it like
14-13. Yeah, it has to be. I mean, it wasn't good, Lance.
Yeah. So Jalen is one of these guys, people think feast or famine. He makes big, exciting, spectacular plays, and then he makes boneheaded decisions. You're going
to have to live some of the turnovers. Yeah. I think that's just what we know. But we also are going to get some big plays. He can throw the ball deep. He can also help your offensive line by scrambling a little bit, which it looks like you're going to have to do with this offense. He's going to give you higher highs. I don't know. But can you even say lower lows anymore after what on Saturday?
No.
I mean, listen.
A combined 10 of 23 for 107 yards?
The weather played a factor in it. But there's a picture out there floating around of Tyler Buckner. The ball's got to be no more than 5 yards out of his hand, and it's already sideways.
Yeah.
And weather could certainly have been a factor. The ball could be slick and all that. I'm just saying from the way that the position was played Saturday, Alabama's going to struggle in a lot of games if they don't get better.
It's Bama and Bourbon with Aaron Suttles from Yale, Alabama. I'm Lance Taylor from The Next Round. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. It's on Bama Pods. And it's brought to you by the Beverage Place, Pink Package. Again, they took care of us on this. They take care of us on our bourbon each and every week. We appreciate that. Beverage Place, right by Arby's on 280, right over the Caba River. That's Pink Package. Beverage Place over in Inverness Corners, right off of Highway 280. But anything you need, they open early, they close late, ice, mixers, of course, great bourbons, beers, anything you need for game day, they've got it. Stop in and tell them Bama and Bourbon sent you. And also, Yay Alabama. How can people get involved?
Yeah, Yay-Alabama.
You need to if you want a quarterback.
Someone sent me a message on Saturday and said, look, I'm not contributing anymore if this is the way this team is going to play. And I almost sat back and like, no, this is exactly why I need to contribute more.
Right.
But no, in all seriousness, yay-alabama.com. There's different levels of membership that will help secure the future of Alabama football, Alabama basketball, all the sports at the Capstone.
Yeah, Tide Pods, like, subscribe, give us that thumbs up. We're drinking Jack Daniels, so they say picking out the perfect barrels from our single barrel whiskey is a highly selective process. Only 1 out of every 100 barrels we produce are deemed worthy of the distinction. We take the other 99, by the way. I don't know what they do with them.
What are we doing?
These highly coveted barrels age in the highest reaches of our barrel houses, which extreme temperature variations dramatically increase the interplay between wood and whiskey. The result is a collection of bold, robust flavors and notes of toasted oak and vanilla that are unique to each individual barrel. Hand-selected from the highest reaches of the barrel house and bottled in the smallest batches. Says the aroma, a little robust, complex aroma with rich caramel, toasted oak, subtle fruit. Taste rich toasted oak, complex barrel spices. Can you taste a complex barrel spice?
I don't even know what it is, but it tastes good.
And the finish, the warm and lingering finish you can expect from a Jack experience. This is one of those I can sit around and I can drink it and eat and I'm good with it.
Yeah, and you're going to need more of this. Alabama keeps playing this way.
Yeah. Okay, so Ole Miss rolls in this weekend.
Yeah.
I assume you'll be there in Bright
I will. Yeah.
This is exciting for a couple of reasons. How does Alabama respond to looking so bad offensively? How does Jalen respond? And more importantly, it almost seems like deja vu. Lane Kiffin talking shit 2 years ago when they rolled in. Alabama jumped on that ass and ended up holding on and winning the game, kind of going away. Now Lane Kiffin's poking the cage again, talking about Kevin still isn't calling the plays defensively. It's
Castles are crumbling.
Yeah, the castle's crumbling. All this stuff's coming down. Yeah. I mean, I've never been a Lane Kiffin guy. I respect the way he calls plays. I like that he really doesn't give an F at all.
He's very anti-establishment almost.
He is. Do I want him to face in my program? Probably not. But with all that
Definitely
said, there is a lot of intrigue for this game.
There is. It's Lane Kiffin. He wanted to be the first former Saban assistant to beat him, and now several former Saban assistants have beat him. So that's no longer on the table. But
yeah, I'm glad we don't really talk about that anymore.
I'm so glad that's over. But Lane Kiffin, let's be honest, he's still hurt that he got embarrassed, but Nick Saban let him go before the national championship game. There's reasons why Nick Saban did that, and I'll let Nick Saban tell those stories if he wants to. Here's something. Lane Kiffin's been a head coach a long time.
Yeah.
Let's take the Raiders out of it. He's been a head coach at Tennessee. He's been a head coach at USC, and now at Ole Miss. And
Florida Atlantic in between.
That's true. Yeah. So he's had an opportunity. I don't even know how many years he's been a head coach, but he's had, I would say, because of the conferences he's been in, he's had a lot of opportunities to beat ranked teams.
Yeah.
This stat was sent to me today. Guess how many ranked teams Lane Kiffin has beaten in his career?
I think it's 4. I remember 2 at SC.
8 total.
Oh, okay.
And
I mean, what is it? What are the L's? Are there a lot of
probably
L's?
A lot. I mean, he's playing in the SEC West, so it's almost every other weekend he's playing a ranked team.
Yeah. Now I will say this about against Saban. So if you go back to 2009 Tennessee, the Terrence Cody block, that was down to the wire. His one chance at Tennessee, and then at Ole Miss, year 1, it was that back and forth score fest, like 55-45 or something. Yeah. And then year 2 was the ass whooping I talked about.
Yeah, get your popcorn ready.
And then last year, if it wasn't for Bryce Young, they lose that game.
They lose that game. Lane's Nick Saban actually respects Lane Kiffin as an offensive mind, and he knows the challenges, and he's already pumping them up about how good they are. He thinks they're better defensively. I'm with you. I wouldn't want Lane Kiffin as my head coach, but it's really a lot of fun and entertaining when he's feeling energized and he's trolling a little bit. So he must feel good about this matchup.
Do you, I mean, on the Bama side, do you feel good that Bama goes out and handles business?
I don't know how you can right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And this is one of those where I would look, and it seems like the majority of the money is on the underdog.
Yeah.
And with Lane and Ole Miss having so much confidence coming into this is a great spot for Bama, but I don't know how they respond.
Listen, I'll say this. I mean, people are still on them because of the Texas game, but I think the defense has played pretty well.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And so I think Deontay Lawson is playing outstanding football. I told you how
10 tackles and a sack last week.
Chris Braswell's playing well. Dallas turned it on last week. I think they got some playmakers in the secondary. So I think this is a good defense, and I think they're going to stick up for the defensive coordinator.
Okay, well,
Lane went out of his way to try to embarrass him.
And twice, not
went
once.
out of his way to do a. How often do you hear? I mean, there's a coaching fraternity, and you don't get a lot of that. But to go out of your way to insult and try to embarrass a veteran SEC assistant.
Yeah.
You don't see that very often. I bet the defense rallies for Kevin.
And he doubled down on it. He was like, I was just asked the question. I wasn't trying to stir anything up.
I'm sure you weren't, Lane.
Yeah, and he just takes those subtle shots, and you know exactly, it's calculated, you know exactly what he's doing. With all that said, Kevin still is calling the plays, right?
That's what Nick Saban says.
Okay,
I'll let Nick Saban answer that.
We just got to go with that. I do find it an interesting.
I think administratively that I do think I think Kevin's calling the plays, but I do think that Travaris Robinson is helping communicate it. It's a cog in the wheel, but Kevin Steele's a defensive coordinator.
Bama and Bourbon, it is brought to you by our friends at mybookie.ag. Football season's here, so it's winning season. Jump on board. Make sure you put in that promo code when you sign up. Next round, you're going to get that bonus on the house from mybookie.ag. Of course, we're drinking Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select, brought to you by our friends at Beverage Place, Pink Package Place, Aaron Suttles, Yay Alabama, Lance Taylor. Next round, Tide Pods. Make sure you follow, you like, subscribe, you tell all your friends about that. Jackson Dart on the road, how do you think he plays in Bryant-Denny?
I think it's going to be a loud environment, tough environment. I think because of Lane and, hey, also because of Pete. Pete knows Alabama's defense. It hadn't changed. So I do think they have some legs up in this. So I don't think it's going to be a dominant defensive performance, but I think the defense will win more battles than they lose.
You know, watching Ole Miss so far against Tulane, they were on the ropes first 3 quarters.
Against backup quarterback Tulane.
And Tulane's best quarterback Tulane's best player is their quarterback, Michael Pratt. Not playing. I thought Ole Miss would win that game going away. They ended up covering. They won the game, but it really was in the fourth quarter. So I really don't know what you get from Ole Miss. I watched Jackson Dart when he was at SC. He is a really athletic guy. He will give his body up. He doesn't care, which could be a problem against this Alabama defense. So he's one of those guys who could have a career game. Yeah. And he's one of those guys that could turn it over 2 or 3 times and Ole Miss could win this or lose this game going away. I think the worst thing for Nick Saban, for Alabama fans, if Pete Golding's defense is dominant against Alabama's offense.
That would.
Because I was one of those guys, I didn't think Pete Golding was that bad.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm with you. I didn't either.
Yeah, and people continue to dog him out. And if his defense was to go in there and hold Alabama to under 20 points in a win, it's going to be a bad look.
Fans make up their mind really quickly on coordinators. They're not shy about expressing their feelings. Tommy Rees is currently undergoing that right now as the offensive coordinator. But I'm with you. I didn't think Pete was all that bad. He just followed some legendary defenses at Alabama. If the offense, getting Tyler Booker back has got to settle that offensive line down. Jalen's going to hit some plays because Ole Miss is better defensively, Nick Saban says, but they're not world beaters. And so Alabama's still got playmakers, and I expect Jalen to hit some deep balls on them.
You know, Tommy Rees is 31 years old, and from what we hear, Josh Pate reiterated this today, and I've heard this before, that all the guys in the building like Tommy Rees.
Yeah,
he's like a relatable guy. He's bright. He's got a lot of knowledge. He's still green, there's no doubt.
Sure.
But do you think this is a situation where Nick sits down and says, hey, look, it didn't happen against Texas. We've got to have more design runs.
Absolutely. I was getting ready to say that. Look, Nick Saban put his offensive coordinator a little bit behind the 8 ball by basically holding auditions during the season. So how much could you actually tailor a game plan when you didn't know who your starting quarterback's going to be? Now Nick Saban says it's Jalen Milroe. You know what his skill sets are. What we didn't see versus Texas, we didn't really see a lot of wide receiver screens. I don't know if have we seen a screen pass at all this year? I'm sure I've missed a play. I'm sure there's been some.
I mean, I can't, one doesn't jump out.
We've seen a couple zone reads with Jalen. We need more of that. Do what he does well, and then allow him to take some deep shots. Don't ask him to make reads in the middle of the defense. I mean, I told you before week 1, that's not where Jalen Milroe is going to thrive. That's not where he can live. And we saw it versus Texas. Don't ask him to do that. Come up with a game plan that lets him do what he can do.
So let's say, for whatever reason, he struggles over the next couple of weeks. The thing Nick Saban hates the most is turnovers. Yeah. And that was the fear with Jalen Milroe to begin with, and it came to fruition against Texas. If he turns the ball over multiple times, they lose one of their next 2 or 3 games. Who is the next go-to? It doesn't seem to be Tyler Buckner.
I want to see
Dylan.
I do too.
I mean, why would you not? You can play him in 4 games anyway. You might as well let him out there and see what he can do.
And if the season is pretty much all your goals are probably over if you lose this game for the season, in terms of maybe you run the table, maybe you beat Georgia in the SEC championship game and a 2-loss team gets in, maybe. I think the big fear there is, what if Dylan plays well and then you got a 5-star Julian Sand coming in next year that may not want to come to Alabama if a freshman starter playing well as a quarterback.
Well, I mean, you can
but can you make those decisions like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why Nick Saban gets paid the $10 million, whatever he makes a
Yeah,
year.
but if I'm Nick Saban, where I am in my career, and I don't need to tell him this, he's the greatest ever, but I don't want to say you made the mistake because you ended up winning the national championship, but you didn't put 2 in until that second half. And I just always thought moving forward, if a true freshman was your best option, Chip Kelly's got a true freshman right now, Dante Moore. We'll see what he's able to do on the road against Utah this week, but he felt like that's his best option. So Dante Moore's playing, and I would think Nick Saban would do the same thing.
And maybe Dylan, if it doesn't work out with Jalen, maybe Dylan is, but it doesn't matter if you or me or Jim Dunaway or Ryan Brown's playing quarterback if your offensive line and your running back can't protect him.
Yeah.
The offensive line's got to play better.
Yeah, and I am blown away just because of the offseason hype and because of some of those bodies. I mean, JC and Tyler, they can't do it all, but I thought it was going to be a solid unit, and they've still got
And I still think they got a chance to be a solid unit.
Yeah, and look, everything is in front of them, but like you said, man, if they were to lose to Ole Miss and have 2 losses in the middle of September,
they'll be on the top 25.
Season is done. Next year, different story when you go to a 12-team playoff. But they will be out of the top 25, I agree, and this will be the biggest disaster of a season. 2010, people forget they were still in it. I was in Baton Rouge for that game. If they win that game, they still, they were up on Auburn at half and they were dominating that game.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a different situation. I don't know. But that Alabama team was in it until deep November.
And I think it was the way that they lost those games and the way the feel around that team was. The feeling around this team, only 3 games in, is not good.
Yeah, it seems like the least talented.
And I say that not from inside the building. I say that from a fan's perspective, the way that fans view this. Look, I'm scrolling my Facebook as we're waiting to tape the show. I see more Bama tickets for sale for a 2:30 CBS game against Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin.
And
so the fan base is feeling it.
And those are my favorite, the 2:30s. As a fan, so I'm going to Auburn in 2 weeks for Georgia. It's 2:30. I love it because I can go early in the morning, watch a game, come back, and still get back in time for a 9:30 kick. Sleep in my own bed. Those are the ones I like, so I'm a little surprised, as you are, that these tickets are selling. But I think people look at it and they're like, what the hell's going on? If Alabama does lose, next week we'll get more into player development, what is really going on inside of it. But again, they're still sitting there with only 1 loss to a top 10 team.
Tyler Booker should be back. That's how I'm really going to look. If they took what they did at the end of the South Florida game, with the game on the line, when they just basically made their mind up that Roydell Williams is going to go north and south, and they went down and scored. I think not so much that mindset is what I want to see from this offensive line. That mindset of Roydell, and I don't care how many yards he had. He had a lot of yards. I don't care about the yards. I care about the pride that he played with. It mattered to him. And that better rub off on this offensive line. It better rub off on everybody on the damn offense.
So 7.5 is the number right now. MyBookie.ag. You can sign up right there. You put in that promo code next round. You're going to get a bonus on the house at MyBookie.ag. I would lay it. I've just got.
You like this Alabama team for this game, don't you?
I've got to believe in Alabama in this spot. If Lane Kiffin didn't say anything, if it was one of those quiet weeks, which is impossible for him, I would totally stay away from this game.
Yeah.
But I think because he's been poking the cage, if I'm Nick Saban, I really go in there. How bad do you guys really want to win? Because if you lose this, it is going to be a grueling, long-ass season. Yeah. This is what people are saying about you. This is what this coach is saying about these people in this building. Let's go out and jump on their ass.
That's what I get to. Look, Kevin Steele, if you know him or talk to any of his former players, he's a player's coach. They love that guy. I think the defense is going to play pissed off.
Yeah.
I really do.
Well, we'll see what happens. Again, Bam and Bourbon, tell your friends. Tide Pods, like and subscribe. It is brought to you by the Beverage Place Pink Package. Great places to go to get all of these products. Your ice, lemons, limes, mixers. They open early, they close late. 2 locations right there. One on 280, the Pink Package. One right off of 280, the Beverage Place in Inverness. Check it out. Go see Chan, JJ, fine folks up there. Also, MyBookie.ag, as I just mentioned. And yay, Alabama again. How can people get involved and buy the 5-star quarterback?
That's right. Get some merch. I got some merch on you.
That is good-looking merch, too, man.
Appreciate that. Yay-alabama.com. Join. We need you to join. Get a membership.
Okay, pick up a bottle. Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select. We both give it a thumbs up. Really good stuff. I don't know the price point on it. I would guess about $60 maybe for this bottle.
I'd say 50 to 60, yeah.
Okay, have a great weekend. We'll see what happens with Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. It's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out this weekend, and we'll see where we are next week on Bama and Bourbon right here on Tide Pods.